Good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Great to be here with you all on this Monday, September 25th. I think we'll be all right, getting our heads right on a Monday. Everybody's seemingly in a pretty good mood in here. Even me. It was a devastating weekend of college football for your old pal Woods. That's fine, but I'm still in a great mood. Happy to be here. Can't wait to talk about all of it. What a spicy, spicy weekend in college football. Padres were doing some things. There's more articles. There's two more articles that have dropped since 8 o'clock p.m. last night.
I read one of them.
I read one in bed.
Didn't even know the other one existed.
I skimmed the other one this morning, so it's just a very hot topic, the San Diego Padres. I'm Woodsy. To my right is Paul Reindl. He's our executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
Did you have a nice weekend with your mom in town?
I did.
Is she gone?
They left yesterday morning. They had a rental car. They're up in Palm Springs.
Ooh.
That's their spot.
Okay.
Tom's got family there, so they drove up there, and they'll be there for a few more days, and then head back up to Washington.
What a super nice, I don't want to say lady. I think that's offensive. A nice woman. Lady, like, oh, you're a nice lady. I've heard Hannah before has been like, I'm not a lady. Like, I'm not, I don't know. It's there's a connotation to it.
Offensive.
Not
Yeah.
offensive, but maybe just not the prop. Like, she's a nice woman.
But I would
Yes.
say
A nice lady
generally
sounds
it's
weird.
considered a sign of even extra respect.
Unless
Like,
you say, oh, she's a real lady.
classy lady.
Classy
That's
lady.
a classy lady.
But I just felt weird saying,
You just sound like Frank Sinatra when you say
right,
it.
she's just a nice lady. I think she's a nice
Dame.
A nice
Broad.
broad. Your mom, Paulie, is a super
Great
nice broad. I really loved her. Can you imagine? Yeah, that broad. It was lovely to meet them. I'm glad she was such
They had a great time.
good sport about Friday, talking about all your sexual proclivities live on the air, which is fun. I mean, the sexual proclivities of 15-year-old Paul.
Right.
Certainly, they've changed in the last 17 years. I'm certain of that.
Life was a little bit different as a 15-year-old.
It was, but the song,
his own computer.
but the song remains the same at the end of the day. I'm sure. To my left is Benjamin R. Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. Good morning to you, Benjamin.
Good morning. Yeah, it was quite a sportsy weekend, wasn't it? I
Lots
mean,
of sports.
when I'm coming in and you're going, wait, there's another. I saw the one Padres article, and now I'm going, wait, I didn't even see this one. I'm like catching up in the last seconds before the show just to see what everyone said. You know, you cover a fairly wild baseball team.
No question. It seemingly never ends. You had a piece dropped by Dennis Lynn last night with a couple of juicy little nugs in there for sure. We'll unpack that, and then this morning on ESPN, one from the Associated Press. Now, my assumptions are that the great Bernie Wilson covers. Well, I know he covers the Padres for the AP, so I'm assuming that's his piece, and he got some really good quotes and stuff last night from, I'm assuming that last night or yesterday, from Manny, from Bob, I believe is in there. Joe Musgrove.
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Tatis in there talking about all kinds of delicious things. So we will break all that down for you. We will do some college football talk for sure. We have to. I mean, we have to. I saw our boy Alex was getting upset. We were talking so much college football on Friday. I said, bro, it's riveting. I mean, it is the most riveting season that you could want because there's a lot of new faces, there's realignment, there's all sorts of shots being taken in the media, there's audio, there's elder abuse, there's all kinds of stuff happening right now in college football. And I mean,
in this job, you kind of have to read the weather patterns of sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
And while Dion was a big story the first 3 weeks, there wasn't a ton, I thought, going on in college football. But you could see the storm approaching for this past weekend. The games, the matchups, the attention that it was going to grab. Saturday was going to be a huge college football day, and it did not disappoint. It was a phenomenal
I could say that
day.
it disappointed.
Well, for you,
yeah,
it disappointed.
I'm pretty effing disappointed, to be honest with you. I'm massively disappointed.
Storyline-wise, though, wow.
Storyline, you couldn't beat it. You just couldn't beat it with a stick. And you had some really really interesting NFL games yesterday. With, again, you watch these coaches sometimes and you go, do you know what you're doing here? You've you've coached football before. Yes, you know typically how this ends. And it's always the justification after the game for the absolute bonehead move that they make. My head college football coach, victim number one. I mean, he's my target number one. You can't explain away what you did. There are no explanations that you can give for what you did or didn't do the last 2 plays of the game. Nothing. There's no justification. Dude for the Chargers. What the hell? Staley.
Brandon
Yeah,
Staley.
Staley. There is no justification for what you did. You won the game, but you should lose your job today.
My guy, Kevin O'Connell.
O'Connell,
at the end of the game. How
What
about
are you
Josh
doing?
McDaniels?
Josh McDaniels.
You have no idea what the numbers are on going for it on 4th down versus trying to get the ball back from the team with 3 timeouts left and 2 minutes to go.
It truly makes you wonder how sometimes you're like, how did you get this job? How did you do it? Like it's a good example for the layman, like all of us. We're all laymen when it comes to all sports, but especially football and coaching football. It should be a good example of how fast it is in real life. If it's fast for us on TV, down on the field, it's got to be massively fast. So there's a lot to talk about today. Other than that, you guys have good weekends. Paul, you were on the full-on mom chauffeur package.
Tour guides.
Tour guide.
It was great, man. We went down to La Jolla, had lunch, showed them the Cove and everything, and it's
a go-to.
You take somebody down there that's never been there, and then they go, "Oh yeah, I get why you left. I get why you'll never
come
leave
back.
San Diego." Yeah, makes a lot more sense.
100%. You're like, yeah, I could never live here, but it's good knowing
nice
that
knowing
this
it's in
is
our
here.
backyard, though.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's a nice 20-minute drive for us. Benjamin, what did you do?
Took up our friend Doug's invite to go to the Rancho Coastal Humane Society's gala on Saturday night at La Costa. Bark to the Future. It was an 80s theme. And
How many dogs did you buy?
I did not buy any.
Oh.
They did have some adoptable opportunities that I passed on with the 2 at home that I've got already. But it was pretty cool. They had Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer lookalikes from Top Gun. They had a real DeLorean that some guy had built in his garage, but it actually worked. He drove it down, but he put the time machine in there and everything to make it look just like the one from the movie. They had console arcade video games from the 80s. I played a little Donkey Kong and Frogger that they had set up. Food and everything. A band, really fun band, Flash Pants. Ever seen them?
I have not.
I've actually
Flash
seen them
Pants.
twice,
No,
and they're an '80s cover band, very fun and very cool. It was a real fun event. We did the auction of their golf tournament a couple of months ago as well. It's just always protecting the little creatures around San Diego is a good thing. And
no doubt, they do great work.
Yeah,
great people. Doug's a great dude. Speaking of this, you guys will get a kick out of this. Speaking of butthurt coaches, can we talk about the coach that nullified my son Bo's 4th goal in a soccer game?
I saw you tweeting about a hat trick.
Yes.
There was a possible 4th goal as well.
Not possible. There was a 4th goal that a 5 to 6 age bracket soccer coach waved off and nullified. Do you know why he waved off my son's 4th goal?
Offsides.
No. There's no offsides. Come on. The kid that he was going against and deked out of his shoes. Kid lost his shoe, and Bo scored, and he goes, "That didn't count. He lost his shoe."
His son?
I don't know, but I laughed. So I was gone.
That has famously happened in the 1972 World Cup. At the end, it was tied. Guy lost his shoe. They nullified the goal.
No. They're the winners. What are you talking about? So Hannah texts me. It's a madhouse getting in, getting out. I went to get some lunch. I took Taylor. Taylor was melting down literally and figuratively. It was so hot. So I was like, I'll take Taylor. He's already scored 3. That's pretty badass. I got to watch him nail a hat trick. So I leave and I take Taylor to Jersey Mike's to get lunch for the family. Hannah calls me. She goes, "Dude, he just scored another goal." And I go, "That's amazing." She goes, "Yeah, the coach didn't let it stand." I go, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "The kid the one-on-one he was with, that kid lost his shoe." And I said, "So?" And she's like, "He said it didn't count." I'm like, "It absolutely counts." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I was crying. I was like, I'm really glad I wasn't there, dude. Guy was getting his doors blown off.
Well,
and got upset.
You know, at that age, is it partly just to try to keep it from hurting any feelings of kids on the side that aren't doing as well?
Sucks to suck, I guess. If it was Bo and he lost his shoe, I'd be like, "Hey, dummy, tie your shoe." Like, what are you doing? It's like, no, that he dropped that ball. The sun was in his eyes, so that doesn't count. Bro, these are life lessons for these young kids. Do you think that kid will ever have his shoe untied again? You know what? Probably. He probably will. But I thought, man, that was now I'm starting to see how it's all working. I'm starting to see how difficult this is going to be over the next few years, man. It's unbelievable. And then we had our first T-ball game yesterday. Had a great time. So I was like enveloped in pro sports, college sports, youth sports. This is my life. This is going to be my life for the next, hopefully, for the next decade or so. But it was awesome, man. Awesome to be out there coaching again. And, of course, watching your kids play is such a delight, such a treat. And, I'm going to give them the they chastised Bo, by the way, my wife says, for not stopping to help shoe loser, as my wife calls him.
Shoe loser.
Like timeout.
Well, not like a loser. He lost his shoe.
He's a
shoe
loser of a shoe.
He's the loser of a shoe. I thought she was saying, hey, shoe loser, tie your shoe better. No, the loser of the shoe.
Yeah.
Got it. They chastised my son for, hang on. Sorry, I just deked you out of your shoe. Let me get that up for you. And then I'm going to blast my fourth goal of the day. I was very proud of him. To see me getting excited about youth soccer is really quite a scene. But very, very, very good weekend. Very fun weekend with the fam. And it's good times, man. I've been longing for this my whole life. So very, very cool to see. I've also been longing for a World Series championship here. Now, not my whole life because I didn't live here, Ben, but for a long time now it feels like. And I thought, hey, this could be the year. And if you're about to sell us that there's still a chance, aren't you? I know that's coming.
No, I mean there is a chance.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that.
But when you win 9 out of 10 and that's not good enough, you've put yourself in a pretty bad position.
We have dropped from 1.7, I think, percent on Friday when we left you to 0.0% on Fangraphs.
Really? Not even 0.1? I couldn't sell you on a 0.1 at this point.
Not if you're Fangraphs.
All right. Well, we'll start with the Padres. We'll get into the football weekend as well. We've got a very busy Monday. We won't be talking to Jake from Cespedes Family Barbecue. Wishing a very happy, or I guess happy is not the word. What is it? An atoneful Yom Kippur.
I don't know.
To everyone out there who celebrates. It's the Day of Atonement, fasting. Adam Klug obviously is observing right now. Of course, I don't know if they just very hungry all day until sunset
just
today.
Be careful, because I don't know how offensive these things you're saying are.
I don't think that I should.
I mean, you already called women broads earlier, so I don't know how much worse.
Don't forget
my mother a broad.
Yeah, called your mother a broad.
So we'll get into it. Obviously, 2 new pieces, as you mentioned, on the Padres that dropped. One hinting about Bob Melvin's future that is certainly worth discussion. So we'll get into that coming up. It's Ben and Woods. Glad to have you with us on a Monday morning as we kick off a new week, last week of September here. With let's check traffic and get rolling here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Must be losing my mind. I could have sworn we've done this song for the Ditty. We've been doing the Ditty a long time. How's this never made it? Because we've done one-hit wonders before. It's the best one.
I would agree.
It's the best one-hit wonder ever. The New Radicals.
I'm pretty sure we've done this theme before, but I noticed today it's National One-Hit Wonder Day.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know was a thing, but here we are. And, yeah, this is like the one-hit wonder.
It's like the best one, I think. Such a jam. Guy made this. One guy, New Radicals. It should be New Radical. This is just one of them. But he made this whole album solo, every instrument, every lyric, produced it, and then it's like, all right, see you later.
How does that work? So he just plays. He plays the song like 10 times, and each time he's doing a different instrument.
Yeah, so
and then
you track it, right? So, like, what you'll do, and it depends on, who you are. You ask every musician what do you... I think they track bass and drums maybe first, and just get
the first time he goes through, it's just silent because he doesn't have any of the other tracks.
Right.
And he's just playing like a bass line
bass
all
guitar,
the way through for however long the song is.
Well, the funny thing is now with Pro Tools, he could play 3 notes of the bass line and then just clip it.
Copy
it. And it... Now, I mean, if the other way... Like, think about him playing... You got to stay in time for 4 minutes. Like, you lay that track. Then you come in, you put the drums down. You put the drums down first, bass over it.
I'm curious about this. So then, obviously, then he moves on to the next instrument. You got to be very talented to be able to do all these things, and you layer it on itself, and then you add the vocals at the end. Can an artist like that then never do a concert? Or could they?
He could use tracks to do his concert, or you could hire a band and teach them to
play the parts and
Lenny
you sing.
Lenny Kravitz does most instruments on his record. And then you'll bring in I'm going to bring in this guy for a guitar solo, or I'll bring in this guy to play the bass on this one. Roman in the chat says we usually track the rhythm section first. Yeah, get that down, and then you can add the vocals and the guitar, and then you can add. Jimmy Page used to go back and add like 14 layers of solos, different sounding solos. I mean, it's so technical and difficult. That's why albums take sometimes like 4 years to do. It's mind bending to think about how long it would take to write, record, track, produce, hone in an entire album of songs.
We should try a Ben and Woods show like that. Like each of us comes in, does our own parts. Like I'll do my part, and then you come
imagine?
In, layer your part on top of mine later. Paul can then layer some of the drops and sound bites in, and then we just mix it all together.
And see how it sounds. All right, we can try it. It's so.
I mean, just trying one
daunting.
segment of that would be so daunting.
Trying one line of it sounds really, really daunting. But Paulie, that's a great pick, man. New Radicals. You only get what you give. National One-Hit Wonder Day.
Yeah, so we're gonna make it One-Hit Wonder Week.
Sounds good to me.
So you definitely already pushed back. The Padres. People asked me yesterday. They have not been mathematically eliminated yet. It's as close as you can get, but they are still technically alive in the National League playoff race with 6 games to go.
They mostly did their part this weekend.
Mostly. The Cubs, the Rockies.
They did not get a lot of help
the
this
Rockies
weekend.
Murdered us.
Yeah, I mean, even had they won the game on Saturday, they'd still be in not a great situation going into this week. It's not because they lost on Saturday. It's because the Cubs swept the Rockies. That didn't help at all.
Colorado.
And there were close games. I watched a little too much Cubs Rockies this weekend, hoping to get some help that just never arrived.
Makes it worse. It's like a double whammy. You're watching your guys give one up on Saturday, and you've already watched the Rockies take care or lose to the Cubs, and it just makes it doubly hard.
Yeah, it's a Powerball ticket now. Obviously, the Padres need to win their last 6. Any loss by the Padres, including tonight in San Francisco, would eliminate them officially from playoff contention. If they won their last 6. They would also need 3 of the following 4 things to happen. The Cubs or Diamondbacks would have to go 0-6. One win by each of those teams would eliminate the Padres. But if one of them did go 0-6, they'd also need the Reds to go at least 3-3 or worse, and the Marlins to go 2-4 or worse.
Glutton for punishment.
No, I mean it's a Powerball ticket, but it's not impossible. I mean, the Padres have been playing well; they could win all 6. The Cubs, They go to Atlanta and Milwaukee. I mean, I fully expect, one of those teams is going to phone it in a couple of times here, having clinched in the last week. But those are road games
So
against
telling me there's a chance.
division winners. I mean, you've seen road trips that go 0-6 before, and obviously the Reds could go 3-3, and the Marlins could go 2-4. They're all on the road this week as well. So it's not. I mean, it's not totally impossible. It's just very, 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 very unlikely that the Padres could still get in. But they have not been eliminated mathematically.
As much as I said last week, it's going to break my heart when I see the eliminated tweet, and it'll probably be like Tatis on the picture, or Manny, or Soto, or Bogarts. Looking down, head down, it's eliminated. I'm dreading it. I still am dreading it. But it's better than this. It's better than this. If
you rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, let's just rip the Band-Aid off, and we can start, making the necessary changes, if any, that may happen. And we can get into those changes and what they should be and what they probably will be next. Again, a couple of pieces dropped, since we got out of here. One dropped yesterday. Last night at about 8 o'clock, I was just about to crawl into bed and take it to the house. And I saw the new Dennis Lin piece in The Athletic drop. And then this morning, we were just sitting here and saw that Bernie Wilson filed a piece with the AP about kind of not rebutting, but just kind of the players' response to some of the articles that have come out. And there's some pretty good quotes in there.
Yeah, pushback. We'll get into some of, especially what Joe Musgrove had to say, not necessarily denying that everything that was written about the last, couple of weeks it wasn't wrong, but Joe kind of indicates that they feel like it's been addressed, that it's been discussed, and everyone's okay now moving forward.
That was the interesting part. It was, because a lot of those quotes in Kevin Acey's article, don't forget, and I think D-Lin's article, a lot in D-Lin's article too, anonymous. It's come from anonymous, but some of them anonymous players within the clubhouse, right? So if Manny reads that, he's like, all right, well, who's talking? Like, let's here's my perspective. Give me yours. Let's squash this. It gives me a small glimpse of hope that they've already addressed some of this crap and they can move on.
Well, just the fact that they appear to be willing
to
address it and not stick their heads in the sand and just go, no, everything's fine. There's
We're
no
good.
problem. There's
Shut
no
up.
problem. We're
just
good.
playing baseball. Yep.
The fact is, we've had some issues and we probably waited too long to address some of them, but we continue to talk about it, air it out. There was some interesting stuff. So we will get into all of that. The pieces, the future of Bob Melvin, and really just a paragraph in Dennis's piece. We'll read it for you coming up that gives a hint as to what the Padres may be doing here at the end of the season. So we will get into that next. Padres wrap-up as well. I mean, one of the best games of the season yesterday in terms of not just score and output, but incredible plays by Tatis. Soto had some great defense out there. Another sellout crowd record, the players and Bob Melvin thanking them all after the game. Felt like the end of a really successful season at Petco Park. If you just went yesterday, you go, wow, this team, they're great. The fans love them. What a great season it must have been for this vibe to be happening on the last day of the season. It's just been weird. So we'll get into that coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by BalancePro.org. Are you worried about the rising costs of managing your home expenses? Balance can help you decide if a refinance is right for you. Help you avoid predatory lending. Call to schedule an appointment at 1-888-456-2227 or visit BalancePro.org. Can I just read the most of Dennis Lynn's piece is kind of a wrap-up of the season and the great attendance. And then you kind of get
then the banger.
in like the 12th paragraph at the end.
Is that the one I highlighted last night? Am I allowed to do that, by the way, or am I stealing content?
Well, you probably should have put a link, but you did say his name. It's from The Athletic, so it's not like you were stealing anything. Right. But, put a link to the piece as well so it gets the clicks.
I'm learning. I do not want Scott Lewis to scream at me from Voice of San Diego. I want to do it right. You guys know me. I'm not a credit stealer.
So Dennis writes, a lack of answers could soon lead to the latest organizational reckoning in A.J. Preller's 9-year tenure as general manager. There has been widespread speculation that Melvin, who has a year left on his contract, will either voluntarily leave the organization or be fired after the season. Team officials have acknowledged that the Padres' payroll, currently at a franchise record $255 million, likely will be pared down in 2024. Lot to unpack in one little paragraph.
More like a lot to choke on if you're a Padres fan. At least this Padre fan, certainly. My man Will Holder, I love it. He's very active on Twitter. He's a tier 1 of the show. Sent us some great coffee. Will, thank you for that, by the way. Great merch. What's his name of it?
Visitor. Visitor coffee.
Visitor. Yeah. It's so good.
I had some this weekend.
It's really, really tasty. Will is a great dude, and Will tweeted immediately right after I sent it out. What does that say about your organization if Bob Melvin voluntarily walks away after 2 years? And that hit home with me. And by the way, you guys know that there are 30 of these jobs. 30. And if a guy says, I know I've got a year left on my deal, this sucks. I'm out. My health or my whatever, my peace of mind, my ability to do my job is being... I'm not able to do it here, so I'm going to walk away.
I think it's voluntarily walking away because if you don't, we're going to make the decision for you sort of situation that everyone can kind of walk away with a little more self-respect if it's a quote-unquote retirement or stepping back for Bob Melvin as opposed to he just gets the axe like, no, I want to stay. And the Padres go, no, you're not going to stay.
But the funny thing is, man, is the tone has changed. We asked Bob Melvin this question. The last time we spoke with him, which was probably 6 weeks ago, maybe even longer, I asked him straight up, do you feel like you're managing for your job? And he said, I've got a year left on my contract. I'm coming back. And now the widespread speculation is that he's going to, in my opinion, if he walks away, that, again, screams dysfunction to me. It just does. Now, I know the last few months have been rough on him, certainly, but here it is.
Well, I have one more year left in my contract.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to finish out what I started.
Boom.
Less someone else telling me not to.
Boom. Right.
So, it's just where I am, but I'm not even focused on that at all. I don't worry about, more years or anything like that. We're just,
I bet not.
Like you said, we're getting through a slog of a season that there's still something left to be accomplished with a really good team. So that's where my focus is on today's game against Milwaukee.
That was August 25th, 1 month ago.
So it was 1 month ago. It was 4 weeks ago.
Lots changed.
And now there's widespread speculation that he's
the Padres
like,
have played their best baseball of the season since then, essentially.
No doubt. There's no question.
And we talked about it last week. We actually have recent examples of teams quitting on their manager, the manager losing the clubhouse.
100%.
That did not happen this
year. It did not happen, man. They didn't win every game, that's for sure. But, I shudder to think how bad it could have been.
I still get a lot. I mean, you and I are, and Paulie, I think for the most part, are Bob Melvin supporters. I do think he's a good manager, and I do think it would be very hard to find someone better out there than Bob Melvin. I still have a ton of people in my timeline. Anytime I defend Bob Melvin that insist he is the problem with the San Diego Padres and nothing that a change of manager couldn't fix for next season. I think that one of the, and we've talked about this, one of the real struggles for the Padres has been that lack of consistency. And I shudder to think of having to go to another spring training with another manager, with another personality and another philosophy that players then have to get used to. I mean, how many times do we go, I mean, when Jace Tingler arrived, it's going to take a little while for the team to get used to and for Jace to settle in because he hasn't done this before. But we feel like after a few months we'll be ready to rock and roll. Then Bob Melvin got here and he got hamstrung by the lockout and didn't get a chance. But hey, give him a chance and a few months players will get comfortable with him. And
boy, they did.
By the end of the season, the first season, they started playing the best baseball in September and into October. And now we're going to just do it all over again with a new personality, and they're going to come in, and we're going to say, give them some adjustment time, some adjustment period. You can't operate a franchise in a constant period of adjustment, for an 8-year period. Well, let's just keep adjusting to the new guy. At some point, you got to ride with the person you hired and the person who is managing. Now, did Bob Melvin make some mistakes this year? Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Does every manager make mistakes? Does every good coach? We're going to talk about some of the college football and pro football coaches that made mistakes. Yes, they're all going to make some mistakes. Doesn't mean that they're bad coaches or that they deserve to be fired instantly.
Well, my favorite part, though, is while we're here openly shilling for Bob Melvin, many will say, well, listen, you're the Padres flagship. You need to shill for Bob Melvin. I would argue, think about this for a moment. If the Padres are looking to get rid of Bob Melvin, shouldn't we then be in support of them getting rid of Bob Melvin if we are shills? I think if you get rid of Bob Melvin, you blew it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think they'd probably, if that really is the way they're thinking, they'd be hoping we'd be laying the groundwork
to fire Bob Melvin.
Yeah, this is probably a good idea. The Padres need to move on. This is the smart thing to do.
Check your emails, by the way. I got the talking points.
Yeah.
Bob Melvin sucks.
But
I can't in good conscience. I can't blame Bob Melvin for this season.
I won't.
I can blame him for some mistakes, but when it comes to the decisions, Saturday in particular, why wasn't Campusano bunting in the 10th inning to move the runner over to win the game? And they, a lot of people thought that's a complete indictment on Bob Melvin and his inability to manage a baseball game. I don't see it that way. It's not cut and dried. I mean, can Campusano get a bunt down?
I don't know.
In that situation. If you get the guy over to third, do you trust the next guy to be able to lift a fly ball? Or, the Padres have been bad at a lot of those things. And is that on coaching or is that on the players? But that is not a situation they've thrived in. Campusano has thrived lately in what? Driving in runners with
Correct.
base hits. I mean, he's hitting 320 right now, I think. And you've got a chance to win the game right there. You take the bat out of that guy's hand, one of your hottest, most clutch hitters right now, and you take the bat out of his hand to bunt. Is that the smart thing to do? I don't know. I mean, you don't have a crystal ball in those situations. You look at all the factors, and then you make the best decision you can as a manager. And in that case, I think that's a defensible decision. I got Campy up. He's come through in the clutch recently for us. He's
mad hitterish.
He's got our best batting average right now. And you're telling me I want you to make an out. Right now, I want you to go up there and make an out
Give an
in
out
this
away.
situation.
Give an out away to an offense that was 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position that night. Listen, at some point, and again, I'm fine with a bunt in the right situation, but it's got to be the right personnel. It's got to be the right personnel behind him. It's just the bunting thing that everyone acts like will solve all of this team's problems. Giving away outs will not solve a team's problem in the long run. It just won't.
It'll work every once in a while.
Which is why the Atlanta Braves, the best team in baseball, have not sacrificed bunted one time this year. That was at least like 3 weeks ago. They have 0 sacrifice bunts. Why? Because their guys can hit. They know how to barrel baseballs, and they know how to do it situationally. We do not this year. We have not. We have now tied the record for extra inning futility with the 1969 Montreal Expos. We still have a week to break that record. I think we can do it.
Come on.
I think we can do it. But yeah, I mean, the extra inning thing is as confounding as ever because, again, we've made the point over and over. Bob Melvin last season was the best in extra inning games. Was it Bob Melvin? Was it the players? Was it execution? Did he forget how to manage in extra innings? No. Skip Schumacher this year has been the best in one run games in his debut. Do you think Skip looks in the mirror and he's like, I'm the world's greatest manager? No one's a better close game manager than me. No, he realized they got a couple out of the way early, which was so huge, he said, and his guys find a way to win those. So, again, bunting is fine. It's fine, but giving away outs is not a really good recipe for long-term success, in my opinion. I'm very vehemently anti-bunt, especially with some of the players we have on our team, and especially with Luis Campusano, who swings the bat pretty well.
I'd love to hear from some Tier 1s. If you want to join us, we can open the phone lines, 833-288-0973. Right now, though, let's check traffic. We'll come back with, again, Padres wrap-up of what was a really cool win yesterday at Petco Park. Even if it doesn't mean much, we'll get to that next year on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danek.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Problems along the 8, guys. Got a collision on the eastbound side right before the 125. Tow truck has helped to clear that into the center divide. Now traveling on westbound 8, right before Greenfield. We have reports of a collision. Looks like a couple vehicles involved. One went into the embankment over the right shoulder. Then got a stalled vehicle on the Fairmont Avenue on-ramp to westbound 8. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I love winning, man. I love winning. You hear what I'm saying? It's like better than losing.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Miss any of yesterday's Padres game?
Did you catch a game last night?
Well, we've got you covered.
Thank you.
It's the Padres Wrap-Up with Ben and Woods.
Go! It's our house right here, baby.
Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino, fun above all else. On 97.3 The Fan.
That is the ball game, and that is a winner.
It's about damn time.
Centricity and all. 3-1 hit in the air to very deep right center. A no doubter for Juan Soto. My goodness. Up over the beach area in right center field. Might end up being one of the longest home runs in the history of this ballpark. A 3-run shot, and before the Padres have even recorded an out here in the bottom of the first inning, they've got a 3-0 lead. 1-2, line to right field. Walker in towards the line on the move. Won't get there. Drops down for a fair ball. Now it rolls behind him. Rosario in to score. Bogarts trying for 3. Going to make it easily standing up. An RBI triple, a 4-0 game, and another misplay in right field. Unless you're playing. Soto rips one down the right field line. That's going to add to the lead. Extra bases again. Soto cruising into second base. Tim scores easily. A stand-up RBI double. A 7-0 Padre lead. And a 4 RBI day already for Juan Soto. Here's Irving Lopez, left-hand batter. Sprays one in the air down the left field line. Soto, long run. Into the corner. Reaches out. Made another great catch. Have a day, Juan Soto. A 3-run homer, an RBI double, and a trio of outstanding defensive plays in left field. This pitch hit in the air deep down the left field line. It is hooking and fair. A home run. Second balcony Western medal for Jose Azocar. His second in the big leagues. And the Padres with a 9-0 lead in the 5th inning. They have scored in all 5 innings so far this afternoon. Here's a high fly to deep right. Fernando at the wall, leaps up. Oh, he made the catch. Tatis took a home run away and then some. Big time robbery. And Ciani was that close to his first major league homer. Fernando said no thanks. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pitch from Espada is swung on and missed. Strike 3. In his major league debut, Jose Espada strikes out a pair, including Lopez to end the game. And the Padres take some aggression out on the Cardinals and wrap up the home schedule with a 12-2 thumping of the Redbirds. They have won 10 out of their last 12 games.
Glad we put on a good show for them on the last day. Did a lot of good things right today, and 61 sellouts out of 81. It's pretty remarkable. So stayed with it the whole way, even though our season was far from perfect, but they were here every night, and like I said, nice to send them off with a good show.
Yeah, and a nice little moment after the game as Bob and the players go out. Thank you to the fans after the final home game. 3,232,310 through the turnstiles at Petco Park this season. Obviously a franchise record, as Bob said. 61 sellouts in 79 home games at Petco Park. The MVP of the season, truly, as Bryce Miller wrote a few weeks ago, and Bob and the players have all agreed now, the San Diego Padres fans, they brought it this year.
Tuesday night games just rocking, like just bumping every time. And I really was starting to get the FOMO yesterday. I couldn't have made it out this weekend. I had anniversary dinner Friday, had youth sports Saturday and Sunday, and could not make it out to a game in the final homestand. But, yeah, man, what do you say? This team is, or this city is obviously starved for a winner. And, thought that this year would be one. We all kind of had our parade routes planned and our outfits picked out. And
that's why you play the games.
That's why you play the games. Cancel the parade. Just sucks that all rings true.
Just a couple of thoughts on yesterday's game. When it comes to award season, which we're, quickly approaching, narrative numbers are huge, but narrative is also huge. And if there was any question about Fernando Tatis Jr. winning a Gold Glove out in right field, that's going to go a long way. Having that fresh in the minds of the voters at the end, that play that he made in the sixth inning going well over the wall, the higher wall in right field to bring back a home run. Absolutely incredible. Number one play on all the highlight shows across the country. He had already, I think, made the strong case by the numbers and his range and the plays that he had made that he should win it. Now it seems like it would be hard to take it away from him after making that play. So what an outstanding effort by Fernando Tatis Jr.
Would have had another outfield assist the night before, Campy. You can't ask for a better throw from your right fielder. It's one of those where if you win that game,
it was really hard. The only thing that's
through
when
it
it's coming in
105 miles
when
an
it's
hour.
coming in that fast, obviously it's not going to be easy to catch with that big old bulky catcher's mitt, but you got to do it.
It's if you win that game, when you're Tatis, you walk over to Campy's locker and go, "Hey, my bad. Sorry I hit you right in the chest." Or, "Sorry I hit you right in the glove. I'll mix it up next time." It was such a good throw, right on line, easy tag, had him by feet. And Campy just kind of whiffed it a little bit. But yeah, would have had another outfield assist. You would think that teams would have learned to not run on him, but they continued to run on him. He continued to make really accurate, strong throws. He's had a couple of overturn with the stupid calls at the plate. The kid
Padres lost another one of those this weekend.
Yeah, the kid has
yesterday.
He's been unbelievable out there. And, you had a lot of naysayers and a lot of detractors. And it's funny. The general kind of thought amongst fans right now is that, okay, great, you're going to win a Gold Glove. Let's move you to center now. And that's something that I think they're probably kicking around.
Juan Soto, 3 for 5, 33rd home run. He made a couple of great, outstanding plays. We'll talk about all of it with Sam Levitt at 9:35. All guests on Ben and Woods appear on the Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall Chevrolet. Find new roads. Take on Woods. Hour number 2 coming up next year on 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2, Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. It is Monday morning. Hope everybody had a great weekend out there. All right, let's take on the week. And we've already started ours in the last hour. You heard us talking about speculation that Bob Melvin is going to be leaving or fired, as written by Dennis Lynn in The Athletic. But we mentioned that other piece, Woods, that popped up this morning in the ESPN.com. I saw it. It's the Associated Press. I assume our friend Bernie Wilson talking to a bunch of guys in the clubhouse and their reactions to the pieces in The Athletic. Kevin Acey's story about Manny Machado and leadership in the clubhouse in the UT from a week and a half ago. And Joe Musgrove was kind of the main player quoted in these pieces. And there was some real pushback on at least the conclusions, if not the facts. No one really said they got the facts wrong.
Right.
But Joe and some others felt like the conclusions were inaccurate. As Joe said, quote, obviously there were things that went on in the clubhouse this year that we didn't do a very good job of addressing and handling. I think if we addressed some of those things sooner instead of kind of letting them fester, some of that stuff might have worked itself out. By no means is it a dysfunctional organization. I said a lot of stuff that has been said already in these write-ups that have come out, basically saying that, some of this is very true, but we have addressed it. We've moved on. We're better for it. We're, stronger and have addressed a lot of these things, when it comes to clubhouse and leadership issues. And there was a real support for Manny Machado in the piece as well.
By 3 separate people. I mean, Joe talked about him. He said, Manny's one of the best teammates I've ever had. He should not be taking the brunt of this. Fernando said he's a great leader. He leads by example, comes every single day, making sure he's able to be on the field no matter what. I feel that's huge. He comes in. He has a beautiful presence inside the clubhouse and during the game. But it looks like what led to everything this year, just underperforming a little bit. People started pointing fingers. Bogart says he was very surprised by Machado's ability to play through injuries. Said, would you rather have Manny Machado in the box or someone from Double-A they just called up? Just his presence in the lineup on the field, it just goes a long way. So the posting aspect of being a leader is certainly there, and I don't think anybody's ever denied that about Manny Machado. We've heard it from former teammate Adam Jones, from everybody we've talked to. It's important to him. I got on Manny last week because I thought, man, if we're 0.2% chance to make the playoffs, we need you healthy for 2024. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen. It doesn't look like he's gonna be ready, Ben, to come out and attack next year. I don't know how much difference 2 weeks would have made, but what it has done, I think, if I'm reading this correctly, it has opened up a little bit more conversation in the clubhouse. I guess Manny spoke and said, look, basically, if you got a problem, then let's get it out and let's get past it. Let's get past it. A lot of these guys are going to be, you hate to use the term stuck together, but they are. They're going to be together for many, many years, and it really behooves them to try to find a solution on how they can move forward and go out and be the team that other teams are like, oh, God. The one that we pitched at the beginning of the year, we talked about pitchers going, oh, my God, what's my game plan? Like, how do I game plan against these guys? They have every bit of the ability to be that team. Whatever got in the way is past. You got to move past it. You got to never let it happen again. But I thought it was, I thought these were good quotes, good positive quotes.
Yeah, just finish it up with Joe here saying we've talked since these articles came out as a team, addressed some stuff. Manny's told us how he feels about it, where we stand. We've cleared up a lot of that stuff. I think everything's good in here, to be honest. It doesn't feel like there's tension toward one another and who's speaking about who and what not. And it does confirm what we have heard and what we've been told, both publicly and, behind the scenes, that Padres players do like each other. It's not like a bunch of guys who go in and, there's cliques of everyone and it's this side of the clubhouse versus that side of the clubhouse. Whatever issues the Padres have, it's not a lack of respect or not a lack of, just good feelings toward each other. That it's something more complex and difficult to put your finger on than that. And there were issues for the Padres this year, but it's not the simple, hey, in the movie, one character doesn't get along with the other character and they've got to come together and finally work out their differences and then the team goes on a giant winning streak. I don't think it was ever that simple for the San Diego Padres this season.
It wasn't, and again, you're talking about every expert. You're talking about guys that you respect, that we respect and love. Guys like Eno Saris. I always felt a great deal of comfort when Jesse Agler, who I respect his baseball knowledge as much as anyone in the country, when Jesse would come on in June. And when Eno would come on in June and say, relax, it's going to turn, it's going to flip, it's got to, the regression to the mean and all of that. I felt great comfort in that. It just strangely never did. It just never did. And I think
it did, finally.
Well, no, you're right. Yeah, it did. Point taken. They did win. What's their 7?
They're 9 of 10, 15 out of 21 this month.
Yeah.
They've played really good baseball.
That record in June and July could have done wonders for this city and this fan base and this radio show and those players and all of that. So you're right. I should correct that. It absolutely did. Just a little bit too late.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't mean they're going to come out stroking the ball and be all hot next year. And there's a lot of stuff. A lot of problems with this team, a lot of holes to fill, certainly.
I do think you start, though, in a bit of a better place.
You got to. If you get all the personal crap out of the way, if you get all the hey, man, you said that you would be there and you weren't there, you know what? You're right. That's my bad. If you get all that stuff out of the way now, the momentum isn't going to carry on.
No,
but
there's no
personal stuff.
No, a guy because he's hot in September is not going to be hot in April.
Eggy Rosario out of the gate, just stroking the ball all over the field.
But I do feel like, and we also need a contestant for Take on Woods because we want to play here in like 2 minutes. So if you want to call in, Take on Woods for a chance to win a trip to Las Vegas, this is your chance. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Call right now, play in about 90 seconds. It is one of the reasons, though, why, as we said earlier, I'm hesitant to change the manager because if you change the manager, then you've got a different dynamic to work through. And even though it came much too late, it does feel like the Padres have worked through it. And I would like to have them have that chance to go into next season going, okay, guys, remember what we did last year at the end of last season. Let's just, pick up where we left off. We know how we were in the clubhouse. We know how it's working. Let's just pick up from there and have a really great season. Play loose, enjoy the game, have fun out there. Don't press too much. We could really have a terrific season. I'm not saying you can't do that with a new manager, but it's a different dynamic entirely if you bring someone else in to lead that clubhouse.
Well, and it depends on who that manager is. If that manager is a promotion from within, who knows? If that manager is somebody nobody was even thinking of, because I'll tell you, we weren't thinking of Bob Melvin at all when AJ made that move. So credit to him, but you got to give it more than 2 years. So.
All right, we got a lot to get to on Don't Do This coming up. So let's get right to it. It is time to play Take on Woods. All right, let's see. Everyone calling in. Let's try Gabriel. That seems to be a somewhat new name for Take on Woods. Good morning, Gabriel. How are you?
Morning. Good. How are you doing?
Good. All right, you're our contestant today for Take on Woods. Woodsy's left the studio. You'll get to go first. 5 questions of musical trivia. Woods goes second. If your score beats or even ties Woods, we'll put you into the drawing for our grand prize here in September. A 2-night stay at the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Private VIP pod at the Westgate Superbook with a $250 food and beverage credit. Experience all the high-action entertainment at the best race and sports book in Vegas. And they got newly designed premier rooms, $70 million in room renovations. Home of legendary Vegas fun. All right, your advantage here is picking our category. Gabriel, here are your choices on Take on Woods today. One Door Closes. That is a category all about the doors. End It All. Those are 5 songs whose titles end with the word it. And our new category, Please and Thank You. 5 questions, all about please and thank you. So, of those 3, One Door Closes, End It All, or Please and Thank You. Oh, Gabriel's gone. What happened?
Oh, no, Gabriel.
Was he didn't like the categories or something?
F these categories.
Or his phone dropped off.
Done.
So
I'm out of here.
He's gone.
833-288-0973. We need another call.
That's very inconvenient for a live radio game that requires a contestant to play. I could sit here and vamp. Or we could just go to a break.
Caller's got about 15 seconds.
I mean, we got a little bit of a delay. So when I say we don't have a contestant, I have to wait like 15 seconds until it kind of comes back. And then someone's dialing in immediately. But,
call us now.
No one necessarily picks up their phone that second.
Damn it, Gabriel.
Why don't we take a timeout, Paulie? And we'll come back and we can push back Take on Woods until we get a new contestant in. And then we can play. Oh, wait. We got a contestant calling in. You want to play?
You want to do it now?
Yeah, let's just do it. All right, hey, Guy, you answered the call. I know you know how to play. Oh, here's everyone calling in.
Please and thank you.
All right, please and thank you. I don't have to even go through it again. He's got the category. He's ready to go. All right. 5 questions all relate to those 2 very polite expressions in the English language. 60 seconds on the clock. You know how it works. Paulie's just got to come up with his 2-second song here. All right. 60,
he was so quick pulling up the
60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. The category, please and thank you. Good luck, Guy. Let's take on Woods.
Thank you. Please me now. Wait. That's the Beatles, right? Please, I don't. Pass.
All right, which 1978 song by Andrew Gold lives forever in reruns as the famous theme song for the Golden Girls?
Thank you for being a friend.
Correct. The first Billboard #1 hit of the 1980s was which Kelce and the Sunshine Band song that became a successful cover for KWS more than 10 years later?
Say it again.
The first Billboard #1 hit of the 80s was which Kelce and the Sunshine Band song that became a successful cover for KWS more than 10 years later?
That's the way I like it.
No, please allow me to introduce myself is the first line from which 1968 Rolling Stones hit.
Sympathy for the Devil?
Correct. In the late 1990s, Thank You became the debut hit for which one-name English singer-songwriter? Ooh. Slow on the time. All right, you did get Thank You for Being a Friend and Sympathy for the Devil.
God, he was so close.
He sort of got it because he got the Beatles and he said, please, please me now. I'm going to kind of give it to him because he put them both together even though he never realized it, but it was Please, Please Me by the Beatles. So I'm giving you a 3 there, Guy. And then Please Don't Go is Kelce and the Sunshine Band. Dido is the Thank You hit. So let's bring Woods in. We had a bit of a... Right before the game started, our contestant dropped off. So we had... Guy called in quickly to replace him, but that's why it took a little bit longer than usual.
Right there. Guy's a beast.
All right, so Guy's score is locked in. Right. You don't get the category. 60 seconds back on the clock, Woods. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Guy.
It's the Beatles. Come back to a pass.
Which 1978 song by Andrew Gold lives forever in reruns as the famous theme song for the Golden Girls?
Pass.
The first Billboard #1 hit of the 1980s was which Kelce and the Sunshine Band song that became a successful cover for KWS more than 10 years later?
Get Down Tonight?
Not that one. Please allow me to introduce myself is the first line from which 1968 Rolling Stones hit.
Sympathy for the Devil.
Correct. In the late 1990s, Thank You became the debut hit for which one-name English singer-songwriter?
Oh, God. This is a pant ass right here. I have no idea the category. I think I'm toast, fellas. The Beatles.
Yeah, you got that part right.
No idea.
Oh, man.
Which 1978 song by Andrew Gold lives forever in reruns as the famous theme song? No, it's not going to happen. Guy wins it 3-1 today.
That was tough. What was the category?
There was Please and Thank You.
Please, Please Me.
So Please,
Okay.
Please Me by the Beatles.
Perfect.
Thank You for Being a Friend is the
Thank
Golden
you for
Girls
being
song.
a friend.
Please Don't Go is Kelce and the Sunshine Band and KWS. You got Please Allow Me to Introduce Myself with Sympathy for the Devil. Dido is Thank You.
I love that song,
It is a
too.
good song,
Idiot.
too.
Completely. What year did you say?
Late 1990s.
Oh, I thought you said 1979. I don't know
Late
why.
1990s for
Okay,
that
that's-
one.
that's-
Guy, hang on the line.
Nice
You
job,
were in
Guy. Just got
late in the month,
smoked.
but he got in for our drawing for Las Vegas, and he'll get all your information. Paulie will during the break coming up. All right, Don't Do This is coming up next. I know we have some college football coaches in our crosshairs.
We don't have enough time.
I don't know. We may have to extend it into an entire rest of the hour sort of discussion.
It's so good.
On the weekend in coaching, just specifically. So we'll get into all of that coming up after a check of traffic. Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan. The NFL is back, and primetime games are available free from Westwood One, live here on 97.3 The Fan, and on the Odyssey app. This Thursday, listen to the Lions and Packers right here on 97.3 The Fan at 4:30, or simply download the Odyssey app, search for 97.3 The Fan at kickoff. I will get started. And
No, I'm getting started.
No, I'm starting.
No, I'm starting.
You're starting today.
I'm starting with,
That's right.
with
You're
Sean
getting
Payton.
started.
Yeah,
Thank
you just said it.
You're right.
Lord. You threw me off, Ben. I was all
Sorry.
ready to go. Hey, hold on.
Deep breath. In and out.
Okay, so.
Good?
Yeah, sometimes coaches in the NFL, they make bold proclamations. They arrive to take over a new team, and they don't have to, but he did, trash the last regime and talk about how much better it's going to be now that you're there. Of course, I'm talking about Sean Payton. And if there's one thing this show appreciates, really a lot, is a testy exchange between coach or player and reporter. No one really likes testy exchanges more than we do. I don't like to have them at all. I hate when it happens to me, but boy, do I love it when it happens to somebody else.
Now, keep in mind that in this exchange, Sean Payton had just answered a question about his team's brutal performance
They lost
against the Miami Dolphins.
70-20. And I looked at it when it came up, and I go, that's a misprint because this is the NFL. The last time somebody hung 70 points, I think it was 1966. Yeah. I wasn't alive yet. And I was like, have I ever seen...
And they got to 70 with 8 minutes to go. And they took a knee at the end. They could have gone for the record. They could have kicked a field goal. They could have scored a touchdown. But Mike McDaniel throttled back finally.
50 points is enough. I was actually sweating that 6.5-point spread at one point. About 3 minutes in. And then after that, it was the easiest money that you'll ever make. So Peyton gets up, and a reporter asks him, hey, you guys are breaking records. You're just setting records for futility. Here's the exchange.
I know that you said it's embarrassing, but this is kind of an historic game.
I'm more.
Third time the team has scored 70 points. Over 700.
What's the question? What's the question?
How do you feel about it being
I just finished telling you.
Historically embarrassing.
Next question.
Oh, God. Anytime you hear the next question, you know you're done.
What's
you're done
the
messed
question?
up.
He did just
He's right.
address,
No, he's right.
essentially.
He
knows how bad it was.
He's absolutely
Sean
right.
Payton, though, is not. I mean, he came in talking a lot of trash about how his predecessor, Nathaniel Hackett, was basically derelict in his duty. And Russell Wilson, they're going to fix him and turn him around. And there's an argument that now through 3 games, the Broncos have been maybe the worst team in football.
That was such a ass-kicking yesterday. I had, what's his name?
A-Chain.
A-Chain.
Devon A-Chain.
I had him on my fantasy bench. 50-some-odd points.
Attaboy.
It's the first time, I think...
I'm about to be 0-3, by the way.
I think it's the first time there's ever been 2 fantasy players on the same team who both scored over 45. Because Raheem Mostert
was
also
unreal.
had 4 touchdowns, as did Devon A-Chain. And they had a couple other touchdowns. What a day for the Miami Dolphins, who...
Sick.
They look fairly legit this year.
Yeah, you think so?
All right, I know that this is a bad don't do this take. I'm not tending. I don't want to make it seem like I don't think this is a talented artist, but it was announced yesterday that the Super Bowl 58 halftime show will be headlined by Usher. And again, Usher is great. Usher is, as cool as it gets.
Sure.
He's Usher. But when I think Super Bowl halftime show, I think, pyrotechnics and, super big, glamorous, huge sets, The Weeknd and his Hall of Mirrors and, choreographed dancers and things. And I don't think
can have that.
You just
contradicted
contradicted yourself
Usher
a little
for
bit.
that.
If The Weeknd can do a Super Bowl
Then
halftime
Usher
show,
can.
then Usher
I believe that.
absolutely can.
Now, here's Ben. I came to a realization,
and I was not thrilled when I saw the news.
Okay.
But if The Weeknd could do it, if Bruno Mars could do it,
Yeah,
Usher
then Usher
can do it.
Now,
he's got the hits.
So I came to a realization several years ago, and we've done this exact segment for 5 years straight. We've never been happy. No, I was happy with The Weeknd because I really like him. I think he's insanely
Rihanna was really good.
Rihanna was amazing. You're right.
I mean, really good.
The Dr. Dre one before that.
That was pretty good, too. Maybe we do like
I think they've been on a good
Lady
roll,
Gaga
and
was
this
amazing.
feels like a step back from the good roll.
Then that's a fair opinion to have. Once I realized that a few things were no longer for me, Coachella being one of them, the Super Bowl halftime show, it's not for me anymore, even though this one feels more for me and my age bracket than any of the other ones before. Once I realized that, Ben, it has changed my life. I don't complain about the Coachella lineups anymore. You know why? It's not for me. They're not doing it for me. The City Connect uniforms. I know Randy Jones was mad about them. Randy, they're not for you. They're not for you. They're for Bo. They're not for you, buddy.
Here's Jay-Z. Here's what he had to say. Usher bears his soul.
Okay,
he
agreed.
does.
He does.
I don't feel like the Super Bowl halftime show is a soul-bearing performance.
It's going to be upbeat. It has to be.
It's just too.
It's going to be upbeat. It's going to be good.
Can he do more upbeat? Maybe I'm not as.
Yeah. Who do you think he is?
I don't know. I just feel he's
Vandross?
a little more
He's
like
not.
a little more R&B, a little slower, little.
He's got.
I
mean, this is insane. Like,
come on.
It's going to be good.
He's going to lean heavily on special guests, I think.
Now, I was always of the opinion. I was, me. I'm a rock and roll guy to my core. I was always like, get somebody up there with some guitars. It's not for me anymore. It's not.
I think love songs. So, I didn't even realize that was Usher when you played that.
That's
one.
Usher. That's like his biggest hit.
Right.
They're not going to roll out.
Problem,
Robert Plant out there anymore. It's not going to happen. Once I've accepted that, I moved on.
The problem for me, I grew up in the 2000s.
Sure.
Usher was that guy.
He was that guy.
He had 5 number ones a year, it seemed like. The problem is, like everything these days in entertainment, we have no original ideas left.
It's better than Ed Sheeran. I'll tell you that right now. If it was Ed Sheeran, I'm not watching.
Like NSYNC is trending again.
They're gonna
25 years later because they're doing the reunion thing because they realized we're all still around. It's been 20 plus years since anyone's heard from us except for Justin Timberlake. But there's a lot of money to be made on the nostalgia vibe.
There's a ton.
And they're just going to go and do that.
I can't wait for the Ben and Woods reunion podcast in 20 years.
Right.
What have you guys been up to? Just dying slowly. Paulie's working for Cilio again. I mean, it'll be great. It'll be fantastic. See where everybody ended up. And then I will wrap us up with a really beautiful doo-doo this.
DD Mega Doo-Doo.
Obviously, we are massive Joey Votto fans. You saw yesterday what potentially could be his last appearance in Cincinnati. It's a home game. Got a knock in his last at bat. So after the game, they chatted with Joey a little bit, and I thought this was beautiful.
For you to stop me in my tracks, stop the game, it means a great deal to me. So thank you. You almost had me crying. I almost cried, there's no crying in baseball. And no, I truly am speechless, and it meant so much. That moment was really special to me. It's a good team win today. That's what we're here for, to give you that. We're going to fight all the way to the very end of the season. This team is tenacious.
I love him, man. Love him, love him, love him. Just fantastic human being, fantastic for the game. One of my favorite players, and if that is, in fact, goodbye for Joey Votto, and I think it probably will be, good way to end it with a knock in front of his hometown fans.
They need a lot of help, too.
They do.
They're twice as close as the Padres are, and they still need a ton of help with 2.5 games out.
I would love to see him
6 games to play,
get a shot at the playoffs. So, but yeah, Joey Votto, probably his last AB in Cincinnati.
And that is Don't and Do This for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, I have football coaches. Did they take leave of their senses over the weekend?
Well,
what the hell happened?
There was in-game decisions that were massively questionable. None more so than in my case, watching Notre Dame and Ohio State.
I don't even know if that was a decision. Well, I guess it was a decision. There was a decision involved.
Sure, just a massive boner is what it was.
Yeah.
And also, everyone got really, really sensitive this weekend. All coaches using the bulletin board material of 80 to 90-year-old survivors of strokes and using them using that as bullet.
It was like every game.
Every game was something. You've never heard anything like this audio we're going to play you. I was incensed.
It's all coming up next with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Ashley Furniture. It was funny. It was Friday after the show. First thing I saw was an Ashley Furniture truck.
Yeah, makes sense.
Fall is almost
Business
here.
is booming.
No, fall
obviously.
is actually here.
Yeah,
and
fall's
Ashley,
here.
seasonal decorating is a breeze. Snuggle up on a sectional or ultra-modern sofa. Gather outside with a new fire pit or conversation set. Ashley has everything you'll need. Shop in-store or visit ashley.com today. All right, we're really diving into the football weekend this segment. And it seems like with any football segment in America right now, always has to start with Deion Sanders.
Absolutely.
So, we will hit a little Colorado, Oregon, move on to Notre Dame's final play. Just horrifying. I mean, for a Notre Dame fan, just horrifying way to end that one.
I'm down a set of readers.
Oh, yeah.
After that.
Just toss them.
Glasses?
Yeah. Down.
And
down,
then if we
one set.
if we have time this segment, we can get into some of the incredibly head-scratching decisions from the NFL coaches.
Oh, we've got 2.5
From
hours. We're good.
yesterday as well.
We have oodles of time.
All of that after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by VA House Casino and Resort. Only real problem spot is out in the East County westbound side of the 8 before Greenfield. Tow truck still on scene of a couple of vehicles that went over the side down the embankment over to the right shoulder. Traffic in San Diego may be stressful, so let VA House Casino and Resort alleviate your anxiety. Take a dip in alluring relaxation, rejuvenate in Willow Spa, or win that life-changing jackpot. Your unmatched staycation experience is just 25 minutes from downtown. VA House Casino and Resort. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, so Colorado finally hit the wall.
Yes.
In their fourth game of the season.
I'd say that's fair
After
to say.
a storybook 3-0 start. They played Oregon in Eugene, and it did not go well. 42-6, the final score, as the Ducks totally dominated. It could have been even more than that. Just from the get-go, you could tell that whether it was missing Travis Hunter because of the injury, played a part of it. There's just nothing could have changed the outcome of that game. Correct?
They got absolutely dominated.
A bigger, faster, stronger offensive line and a bigger, faster, stronger defensive line would have helped tremendously. And I thought it was the response, though, that I saw after the game, and really at halftime, from a lot of people on Twitter. I wish I could say I was surprised. I wasn't really surprised. There was a lot of good, Deion needed to be humbled, and these kids needed to be humbled. And, I mean, if that's your opinion, that's okay. That's a fair opinion to have. I don't see a lot of that, though, about some of the other louder, more boisterous head coaches in college football. Just Deion. And what he's done for that program already is pretty insane. I mean, you have to admit, he's tripled their win total already. So that's good. I mean, they're a 1-11 team last year.
That shows he backed it up.
Yeah, absolutely. And he beat TCU, who was in the national championship game last year. He blew their doors off them. It had a tough game. There's tough games in college football. When you're favored by 21 sometimes, that game can end up last play. It happens all the time.
I think it's less a response to Deion himself than the fact that, yes, Colorado has tripled its win total. But the attention total has multiplied by like 1 million.
Oh, more than
from
that.
last year. And I think some other coaches are just
they're over it.
Yeah, they just feel like, okay, hey, we all have programs. We're all doing, we're all working hard. And why is America only captivated by this one? Hey, it's a good team. Deion's done a nice job turning around. I'm sure there's other teams that had bad seasons last year that have gotten off to decent starts, but no one is focusing on them the way they are focusing on Deion's team.
And it's because of the massive turnover of the roster. That's a huge one. Using the transfer portal in the way that he did, it's never been done before to that amount of volume. But it's also the way that he goes about his business. And you asked me week one, would you send your kid to play for Deion Sanders? The answer is still unequivocally, absolutely, 1,000%. What is his job? Outside of winning a football game on a Saturday, what is his job? To do what?
Recruiting?
To recruit. And if you're a 4-star wide receiver, or if you're a 4-star offensive lineman and you were going to go play at Iowa, and you look and you go, man, I don't know. Like, they could really, really use me tomorrow. Like, if I'm a defensive or offensive lineman, I'm calling Coach Prime if that's legal. I don't know that it is, but I'm in the mix. I want to be a part of that because again, some of the skilled position players they have, Shedeur did not have a great game. That being said, Shedeur is not. I read a lot about this. He's not an elusive guy. He's really not elusive. He's not able to break, contain, and scramble. He's a pocket passer.
No, he's not Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson back there.
He is a pocket passer. And so when guys are in his face, and Oregon's defensive line played an inspired, incredible game. Absolutely was in his face all day, made it really tough for him. If I'm a lineman, I want to play for Deion Sanders, period. And if I'm a football player, I want to play for Deion Sanders. I think he's doing a great job in recruiting, which, again, is almost like 1 and 1A.
But he's not taking shots at other schools,
That's
though.
the most interesting part to me, Ben, is like you see the vitriol that the other head coaches have about him. Right. You saw what Colorado State's head coach said. You know, my mama told me to take my hat off. I'm like, where did that come from, right? And then Dan Lanning, let's play Dan Lanning's pregame speech here. It's insane.
You top of your helmet, right? Every moment. The Cinderella story is over, man. Right? They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. There's a difference, right? There's a difference, right? This game ain't going to be played in Hollywood, it's going to be played on the grass, right? It's going to be played on the grass.
They don't play in Hollywood. They play
where
in
does Deion coach?
Boulder.
He's not at Brentwood at UCLA?
No. It's So you hear that and you go, ooh, okay, that's fine. You guys firing his team up. It is weird to me that Oregon is talking that they're not flashy. They have 79 uniform combos provided to them by Phil Knight of Nike.
So they have cleats coming out that change colors.
With the heat. Their jerseys change colors if it's hot or cold. When I think of Oregon, you know what I don't think of? Army football, Smash Mouth, Penn State, Iowa. I don't think of the gritty. They're a flashy team. They've always been a flashy team. Now, is Deion and his crew more flashy? Maybe. But Oregon's pretty damn flashy. I found that was interesting. The other thing I found a bit ironic.
What impressed you most?
I'm not done yet. We were composed. We executed at a really high level, but not done yet. We're not satisfied. I hope all those people that have been watching every week are watching this week.
Oh, he's very upset. He's very, very upset that anybody got some attention.
He's specifically talking about us giving some Colorado comeuppance.
Absolutely.
He's
talking about us.
Not our team growing, not our team doing anything. We want to show up this other team, essentially. Now, it worked.
Absolutely.
He fired up his team. Whether it made sense or not, his team came out and played. They played well. Now, in the framework of recruiting, is this a kind of a genius strategy?
Could be.
Hey, we have to recruit against Colorado.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely. Turnabout.
And if everyone, like you just said, hey, I would love to have my kid go play for Deion. Do I need to now do something to make sure that their kids want to go play for me here at Oregon as well? That Dan Lanning can be exciting and passionate, and I can show just as much as Deion can show. Is that part of the strategy here by Oregon?
I mean, potentially. It just, to me, sounded like he was basically just over it and over the hype and all that. And again, I found it ironic, though. You have to agree with me here. It is a bit ironic that you say we're fighting for wins, we're not fighting for clicks, with a camera in your face, in your locker room's pregame speech, in your flashy uniforms, and you know how many clicks that thing has gotten, you know how much airplay it's going to get. Again, it's a business, right? If we look at it
and no one called you out during the week. Deion never said anything like, we're going to show Oregon they're not as tough as they think. There was nothing like that said in the week before the game.
He's always kind of a don't start none, there won't be none, type guy. And I think, I think Deion's doing a great job. He's still doing a great job, even though they got their doors blown off. And they absolutely did. The game was over 10 minutes in.
Here's what Deion had to say in response. I loved how he came back after the game at the podium.
I don't think it's a target on our back. I just think this just teams are trying to beat me. They're not trying to beat our team.
100%.
They keep forgetting I'm not playing anymore. I had a great career. I'm serious. I got a gold jacket, ain't back. So I'm good. But that's what it really is.
That's it.
I don't think they get any extra satisfaction, you know. It is what it is. And I signed up for it, so let's go. It translates in practice. I don't say stuff just to say it for a click, you know, contrary to what somebody say. But, I keep receipts. But I'm serious. I analyze and I understand what we're up against and what we have and what we need. One thing that I could say honestly and candidly, you better get me right now. This is the worst we're going to be. You better get me right now.
That's amazing.
I got messengers. God bless him, though, man. He's a great coach. He did a great job. God bless him. He can take their shots. They won. I don't shoot. I don't do that. They won.
Fantastic.
It's like Deion Moore every week. Even in loss.
Even in a loss, he's better. He's better after a loss.
They didn't lose a close game. They got embarrassed. And I'm like, Deion's the greatest coach ever.
Dude, I know. I mean, whatever he's selling, I'm buying. I think that dude knows how to coach, no question. And give him a shot to actually recruit. Let him recruit. I mean, he filled this with transfers and guys that he wanted, but let him go out and work knocking on the doors and see what kind of line he can recruit, because Shadour's going to need a line to play behind, period. He's not a real mobile guy, and if you give him time, he can pick you apart. There's no doubt. Got one of the best arms I've ever seen. Insanely accurate as well, but he can't do it with no time. So I thought that was an interesting part. So that was its own drama, and it was fantastic, and I'm eating it up like I'm sopping it up with a biscuit. It's just so good. So then, obviously, rooting interest in the Notre Dame-Ohio State game.
You were at the game last week.
Woods
went to the game last week. Well, this was the big week. Ohio State, number 6, coming in to Notre Dame, South Bend, number 9, Notre Dame. Huge game. Game of the week.
And you asked me, do you think that they have a shot? And I said, I do. We had, the Doak Walker front runner and Audric Estime. We got Sam Hartman, a quarterback that can finally make a play. We've got a really good offensive line. We've got a good defense. And it was a phenomenal football game. I thought, I mean, if you're a football fan, I tipped my hat to the Ohio State player. They were lights out, really, when they needed to be. And I thought the Irish played a really, really good game until they didn't. Until the panic sets in. They've got 2-3 minutes to move down the field. They did with no problem. They're in weird prevent defense. Couldn't make a stop. Interception goes right through the fingertips of our linebacker that would have sealed the game. And then you get down to the goal line, man, and you had 10 men on the field for 2 plays in a row. That's inexcusable. I love Coach Freeman. I don't think he should be fired, but that's fireable.
And any coach in any position group can make a mistake in the heat and not someone out there. The explanation, though, was what really got me. That didn't Freeman, he basically said, felt like they were better off not taking the time because they had a timeout.
There was a couple of mismanaged scenes that they had there down the stretch with they took a timeout with the play clock running down. They were under duress. They needed to get the play off. You bailed them out with a timeout. And then you get down to the half-yard line, and he said, we didn't want to take a penalty. Well, why? I mean, it's better to take a penalty.
It's a 5-foot penalty, or at most 5-inch penalty. Yeah, not even a foot penalty.
And they ran right in the spot where you didn't have a D lineman. So again, 2 plays in a row, Ben. They had 10 men on the field. Those are the ones where, like, it's only a second year. I'm like, oh boy, that's. But I mean, if that's Brian Kelly, I'm literally calling for his head today. I'm calling for him to be moved out of South Bend. I love Coach Freeman. I think he's a great recruiter. I think he's a good coach, and he hopefully will learn from that mistake. But it was a big one.
But speaking of coaches using weird inspiration like Dan Lanning, how about Ryan Day of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
This blew me away.
Who used some comments from Lou Holtz, former Notre Dame coach. What exactly did Lou Holtz say?
Do you want Ryan Day first or Lou Holtz?
Let's do Lou Holtz first.
Do Lou first.
Notre Dame is a better football team than Ohio State.
Love hearing that. Please,
Coach. And let me tell you why. We have the best offensive line in the country. Sam Hartman won't even get his jersey dirty all year. He has time to throw the football. The offensive line, we have great running backs. Estime is averaging about 10 yards a carry. We have great receivers. So offensively, we're set. Defensively, our defensive line's better.
He goes on for another minute and a half.
Well,
just talking about
what else?
why.
What else would you expect him to say? What else should he say?
You mean the former head coach of the University of Notre Dame thinks that they have a better team than Ryan Day's Ohio State? So gets down to the last play of the game, they win, and then Ryan Day says this in the postgame. I couldn't believe it.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. What he said about our team.
I'm gonna kick his ass.
You know where he is? He's asleep. He's dead asleep. Drool running
I'd
out
like
of
to
the
know where
side
Lou
of his
Holtz
mouth.
is right now.
He's 90-something years old, 86
Well,
years old.
and then what he said about our team. He didn't say anything about your team. He said, I think Notre Dame has the better team.
Right.
I mean, someone has to be better at the end.
Bro,
Yeah, he was wrong. Lou Holtz was wrong.
Real sensitive.
By a tiny whisker of a play. He ended up being wrong, but it was so personal for Ryan Day.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. What he said about our team. I cannot believe. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world, and it'll continue to be Ohio against the world. But I'll tell you what, I love those kids, and we got a tough team.
You're a
Okay,
dork.
LeBron.
You're a dork. You're a dork. The guy's 86 years old. You got that creased about Lou Holtz.
It's always been Ohio against the world.
Up there slobbering over. He can't even speak anymore. You're that worried about Lou Holtz.
I stayed under Woody Hayes. We won the national championship when I was there.
That's right. I mean, holy cow. Oh, by the way, you won it on the last play of the game.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
Let's not act like you came in and laid the wood to him and made a statement. You barely squeaked
By
that one out.
3 inches across the goal line.
I mean, I was livid. Livid.
Has anyone ever said it's Ohio against the world?
Never.
I got more college coaches.
There's more. There's so many more.
We're only halfway home on a Monday. It's Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
All right, everybody, halfway home on a Monday.
Where's Woods?
I don't know. He waits until the last, 10 seconds before we come back from break, and then he goes to the bathroom.
Welcome back. He's just celebrating the fact that we were the only sports talk show in America not to mention Taylor Swift in the first 2 hours.
It was
the program.
A concerted effort. Listen.
We made it.
It was oversaturation yesterday with the Taylor Swift going to a football game. I mean, that was as saturating as it could get. You thought Dion hype was bad. You throw Dion on Saturdays, Taylor on Sundays, and you're in for it, man.
I did a whole Taylor Swift song titles pun opening to my show last night on Channel 10.
Where is it?
That's the kind of content we need.
Why wouldn't you give that to us?
We would have done 2 hours on Taylor Swift material.
Can you find it?
I can find it. I mean, I don't know that I can find the video. I can find my script if you'd like.
Oh, yes.
I'll read it for you.
Even better.
Even better.
Let me see if I can call up the script. Give me a second.
Yeah, no problem.
Right.
No problem. Paulie, as the resident Swiftie, what were your thoughts?
I don't like Travis Kelce. I really don't.
You think
There's a lot of worse people in the NFL. Don't get me wrong.
100%. If you're gonna go,
he seems like a tool. Seems like he belongs in WWE.
He's a good.
If he wasn't really good at football, but
he's seemingly a good job.
Yeah,
a good guy.
Him and his brother seem like good dudes. Their podcast, I see clips are going around. I thought it was fun to see her in a somewhat normal setting. Like, she screamed, "Let's effing go."
It was interesting.
When Kelce scored, I was like, good for her.
Good for her. She's out at a football game and enjoying herself. Now, it's a little odd. I mean, they're not really official or anything like that. She's already meeting his mother.
She was sitting with the mom. They were seen leaving together.
That's a big moment.
Should you have screamed, "Let's effing go" right in front of his mom on I'm assuming the first time you met her?
I feel like the Kelces, though, they're known. The parents are even known. They're pretty into it.
The Kelces in the woods, it'd be fine. It would fly in our family. Not many families it would fly in, but in our family, we actually expect it from Bo and Taylor's girlfriends at some point. But no, I saw it and I was like, oh, she did. She made it.
And a lot of hype.
And then it never stopped.
Right.
It just never, anytime you open Twitter, you're like, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift is at the game. Do you have your...
My script? Yeah, I've got to go through the whole, I got to sign up to the VPN, and get everything.
Yeah.
So it takes me a minute.
Take
and
your
of course,
time.
now I got to go into the archive.
Yeah, take your time.
I'm about 30 seconds away from calling up the script from last night for the start of, this was my Sports Extra show, my 11:30, right at the top. And now I just have to scroll down about 10 more seconds, and I'm there. All right, you ready? Here's Welcome Show last night. The Padres will just need to shake it off after a cruel summer. Welcome to the show. I'm Ben Higgins. You belong with me for the next 15 minutes as we get to Taylor Swift's appearance at the Kansas City Chiefs game. And she'd appreciate the loyal trying to make a run to the playoffs before their big franchise breakup. That was my open to the show last night.
It's not bad. I can see his face as he started to sit down. That is what happened. That is what happened.
I mean, you got to come up with a show open every single week.
Sure.
And most of the time, it's just kind of the same. Hey, we got a huge slate of football games. We're going to get into all of it first, though. The disappointing Padres lost today. There's only so many different things. And I saw something and I go, okay, at least I can make it a little different today. Let's do Taylor Swift themed at the start here.
It's fantastic.
And, I had some video of her in the, cheering and, got to the Chiefs game in a little bit. But this is what I'm a sportscaster. This is what I do.
Yeah, you and if I had to put the over-under of 20,000 other sportscasters across the country that did the exact same thing, I'd take the over, wouldn't you?
I mean, it's a winning formula,
It's
right?
absolutely, yes. If it's not broke, you don't fix it.
I don't want to disappoint people by, going outside the box there. So
I get it.
So what's their couple name going to be?
Please
Benifer, would they be Travis and Taylor? Would they be Trailer?
Trailer.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Swelfsey.
Swelfsey doesn't roll off the tongue.
I think you got to go with Trailer, and that's not a great...
Kellift.
It's not terrible. Do you think I don't even want to ask it. Never mind. I mean, it's trending right now. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
It's like the #1 story on ESPN.
So stupid. I hate it here. What's Megan think? Megan, your wife, is a huge Swift. She likes the move.
She loves it.
Okay.
She thinks it was sweet that she was with her mom, his mom.
Yeah.
And she's seen the same clips going around of their podcasts. She's like, they seem like good guys.
Okay.
And
What if you're
Jason
Andy Reid?
Kelsey's wife seems good, and
Are you worried about distraction?
Yeah.
No, they're pros. They all have girlfriends. They've dated.
They do, but being with Taylor Swift is like girlfriend times a million.
Didn't slow him down yesterday. He was fine.
True, but
I did see a picture of a meme. It was a guy scaling a building on the outside.
Jackson Mahomes.
And it was Jackson Mahomes trying to get into that suite.
Part of being a successful athlete, especially one with the profile of Travis Kelce, which is pretty high. I mean, he does his own commercials and everything, is dealing and managing the distractions. Keeping them, to a minimum, or at least creating like two different parts of your life. And this is obviously going to add to that distraction factor.
Really slowed Tom Brady down all those years, dating Gisele Bundchen and yeah. I mean,
you make the argument. I mean, Tom was much more famous than Gisele in this country.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is different. This is different. He, Travis Kelce is dating or friends with someone who is quite possibly the most famous person in the world right now.
On the planet, for sure.
And that is going to come with more paparazzi.
Here's the thing. I don't think she's going to be at practice.
No, but
I don't think she's going to be in Andy Reid's ear going, you need to get Travis involved more
in the
offense.
There will now be more non-football reporters who cover Travis Kelce just to see what he's up to.
I think it'll be fine. I really do. I think
I mean, probably, but it's something that you can't just ignore and go, oh, no, I'm not worried about it at all. We're just going to keep doing everything that we normally do.
I think they will. It's Kansas City, #1. They're in Kansas City. If he plays for the Rams, or if he plays for the Giants or something, the Jets, I think it might be a little bit bigger story. But you're playing in Kansas City.
I'm wearing about half the beers I've been trying to drink, baby.
It's kind of annoying, but I do. He's a really good football player, man. He is a really, really good football player.
As long as you keep him and Mahomes together, like, he's probably going to be the greatest tight end to ever do
WK says, I can't believe this is being discussed. I can't either, and I'm sorry. I'm massively, massively sorry for it. It had to be done.
This is the world we live in.
This is where we are as a populace right now. So, yeah, we'll continue to monitor that situation like we have a choice. It's going to be there. It is going to be there regardless.
I mean, you mentioned the trending topics. My top one is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. My third one is just Kelce and Swift.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the top trending topic. It's all of the top trending topics.
Yeah, no question. So I think, hey, listen, congrats to those crazy kids. And didn't slow him down yesterday at all. But I do want to talk some NFL. We have to talk some NFL.
I'm going to get back to the crazy coach audio.
It's so good. We were going to do,
Dan Lanning.
We did Lanning.
Jake Dickert. How about Jake Dickert of Washington State?
I've got some thoughts on this as well.
So this is the game that I was obviously paying close attention to. My wife is the Wazoo alum, so we were watching the game at the Seagull on Saturday, and they played really, really well. They were underdogs, even at home against Oregon State, but took the lead early. It ended up being close at the end, but held on. I think 38-35 was the final, and it was a big statement win for Washington State. I love the signs before the game. Pac-2 championship.
Yeah, Pac-2 championship.
The only two teams that are going to be left in the conference after this season. But after the game, I want to start with the coach this time. After the game, Jake Dickert called out ESPN's Lee Corso for some comments that he thought he made on College Game Day that morning. Here's what Jake Dickert had to say after Washington State's win.
I just told RJ and BJ to come back for year 6. This is why they came back. Okay, this is much on them and it is on us and what we're trying to create because of those guys and their leadership. So we're building something special. I think nationally there's a lot of noise out there. I mean, I caught something this morning and I was just watching Game Day, and Corso comes on and he says, the no one watches bull, and I don't really understand that. What's the merit once again? Because the facts say people watch the Cougs, and the people watch the Cougs more than every team that's left over in the Big 12. Okay, so Coach Corso, he's at the point now where they give him the sheet and he reads off of it and they try to make a joke, but it didn't even make sense.
It didn't make sense because you misheard.
Well, he said it's the no one watches bowl. Like no one watches Washington State or Oregon State.
Right. But he in
that's,
fact said
that's not what we think Lee Corso said. Now Lee Corso is like Lou Holtz,
elderly.
He gets a little bit on the garbled on the words sometimes.
He's old. He had a stroke.
But listen and tell me what you think Lee Corso actually said.
In the Nobody Wants Us Bowl.
In the Nobody Wants Us Bowl.
Wants Us Bowl.
Right.
In the Nobody Wants Us Bowl.
In the Nobody
Nobody
Wants Us
it.
Bowl.
Poor guys.
Yeah, so nobody wants them because
they're left without a conference.
Nobody wants it.
All the other
Washington State beats Oregon State.
All the other teams in the Pac-12, he picked Washington
He picked them
State
to win, by the way.
All the other teams in the Pac-12 were wanted either by the Big Ten or the ACC or the Big 12.
Poor guys.
But Washington State and Oregon State were not wanted, and they were left over alone in the Pac-12. I think that's the point he was trying to make.
Yes.
But when you say Washington, then I guess wants us sounds like watches us.
Washington State beats Oregon State.
I was watching live. He's old. He had a stroke. You're really good. Again, it's the Lou Holtz thing. Again, like you guys are grown, like leaders of men.
Like I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now.
He's asleep, or he's at an early bird or a late bird. He's dead asleep. Ryan, dead asleep.
We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world.
He never said you shouldn't be proud to be from Ohio. Just the weirdest. Do what you need to do. Michael Jordan used to make up stories. Michael Jordan would say, "Oh, that guy told me that I was terrible," and the guy's like, "I never said that." You do what you got to do, I guess.
I'm not crazy.
I would never say that to Michael Jordan. Maybe he didn't say it. It's like, okay. But again, if you're gonna go after him, you gotta get it right. It's embarrassing to go up and be like, I can't believe he said it's the nobody watches bowl. He would never say that. He knows. And then he picked you to win. So you gotta think it through a little bit.
Well, I mean, he's also on ESPN. They don't want people to think no one's watching.
Of course.
I mean, it's nobody wants us. They're disrespecting us by not wanting us, even though they're two really good teams in Oregon State and Washington State.
Isn't it priceless? All of the Pac-12 teams playing absolutely lights out right now.
They're now 4 in the top 10. I mean, best season in the Pac-12 in decades.
When has that happened? When was the last time that happened?
Never?
Man. So, I mean, the landscape of college football obviously has changed. A lot of it falls on ESPN. A lot of it falls on money. There are certain teams. I asked Ben this morning off the air because I was unfamiliar. So Washington State, Ben, this is not a case of them overplaying their hand, waiting for a better offer, and then they got left out in the cold. Correct?
Correct. They had no offers. Nobody wanted them in the Big 10 or the Big 12 or the ACC. Nobody wanted them.
In the Nobody Wants Us Bowl.
Yeah. That's very true. No one wants them, and everyone else left them alone.
And that is a massively hard pill for that head coach to swallow, and I am sympathetic as hell to that. And I do think, but again, if you're going to go after it.
But it's market size and geography.
Correct.
Not necessarily.
It's
not
you're
an
a bad
indictment of your
team.
program. It's just you're in Pullman, Washington, and it doesn't really make sense for the Big 12 based out of Texas to start adding schools from the Pacific Northwest.
I think their rebuttal would be, but California is fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're talking about an extra couple of hours or something. But I don't know, man. It's the college football landscape has changed. We're going to fight against it until next year when it all gets started. Everyone's going to be on board, and there will be some of those outliers, Ben. And it's a bummer. It's like I told a fan on Twitter this weekend. I said, hey, man, I get it. I'm sympathetic to you. Just win football games, and it eases the sting a little bit.
This segment of Ben and Woods is brought to you by the Golf Mart. We'll get back to the Padres news. The speculation, is Bob Melvin out one way or another here at the end of the season? That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. Up next, though, there was only one moment yesterday that actually caused me, I was watching with my son, caused me to scream at my television yesterday. Let you know what it was when we come back.
Joy or pain?
Pain.
Pain. Okay.
Screamed at my television. What are you doing? What are you doing? Next, with Ben and Woods after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Save that. I think if ratings go up around here, I mean, we're certainly talking more about it than we ever did last year. It was an afterthought for us. I think the Padres are to blame. I really do. I think the Padres really not being in the race at all the last month or so has pushed people away. Like, I still watched the Padre games, but honestly kind of in between NFL games and in between college football games on Saturday. And Friday night I came home and watched it, but honestly, I'm finding and seeing a lot more interest in what's going on in football.
You know, sports fans want to talk about what's interesting that people are talking about. And last year, I was stunned how little football we talked.
I mean, it was like
until November, essentially.
Even then, it was still light, and we felt so weird doing it. You know what I mean? It was very, very odd.
Because the Padres are in a completely different place. It grabs your attention. But what we're really looking for is just compelling stories.
Sure.
And
there's been no shortage.
There's been so many compelling stories from Dion and what's gone on in the NFL. We haven't talked a ton about the NFL yet, but we will get into it as well. We're going to talk about whatever's interesting. What's going on? Sports or not sports?
You know what's interesting to me? And I think I know where you're going with your screaming at the television. You know what's interesting to me? Is that my friend Ben Higgins and your friend Paulie and your friend listening, he is your friend. This man hate watches the Los Angeles Chargers like no one's business. He was texting us during the game. He's hate watching.
All right, I'll be fair. I was watching Red Zone, and obviously the Chargers popped up. It's the morning game. I love Red Zone in the morning is great. It's
phenomenal.
Afternoon, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like two games that they were
It's
just
the
going back
morning
and forth.
games, though. The Red Zone is an incredible invention.
Bro, those last like 4 minutes of there were 3 games going back and forth all simultaneously. It was incredible.
Electric.
Scott Hansen does a really phenomenal job in what is a difficult task. I'm always impressed as a sportscaster.
He's brilliant.
Watching him bounce from game to game and have a semblance of an idea of what's going on in all of them. Names of key players that are making plays, kind of either at his fingertips or just drawing on his knowledge of the NFL. He does a really great job. And as Paul said, getting to the nitty-gritty in all these games in the mornings. And, of course, one of them was the Chargers at the Vikings. And, yes, I have one real rooting interest in the NFL. And that is I don't want to see the Chargers lift a Lombardi trophy in Los Angeles. Ever. I really don't. It would just eat at my... I just don't want to see it. So I cheer against them.
Hard.
But not like all 3 hours of every game. I don't. But when it gets down to the end and, hey, the game is on the line, yeah, I wanted to fall flat on their face. I really do. That's how I feel. And they had a chance to charger it up again yesterday, big time.
I flipped over. They were winning pretty
they were
handily.
They were up double digits again.
Yep. And I flipped away, and I turned back, and Minnesota has the lead. And I'm like, what just happened while I was gone?
2 quick touchdown drives, but then the Chargers came back and scored again. So it's 28-24. Minnesota has a chance to go down and score, end up getting stopped on 4th down with, about 2.5, 3 minutes to go. But they still have timeouts left, so they can get the ball back with a defensive stop. Comes down to 4th and 1. Chargers are at their own 20. Everyone's going, well, you got to punt. You did it. Brandon Staley goes for it from deep in his own territory, knowing if they don't
4 points,
they don't make it. They have given them the shortest of short fields, a 20-yard field to go and score a touchdown and beat them. And I know people were lighting up Brandon Staley for the decision. I don't hate the decision to go for it. I hated the play call, though. I mean, if I was a Chargers fan, you mean you're going to put this entire game on a slow-developing handoff run play up the middle. The one thing that every defense is obviously looking for first on a 4th and 1. And the Vikings blew it up, was definitely short by a half yard, and they took over with a chance to win it at the 2-minute warning, down 4. 20 yards to go to win the game.
I could not believe it. And again, I'm sorry, you have to punt the football away there. You have to. You have to make Kirk Cousins beat you by going 80 yards, not 20. You cannot go for that there. You just can't.
I think, to be fair, had they made it, everyone would have hailed Brandon Staley as a risk-taking, gutsy head coach. But because he missed it, everyone says you have to punt. You're an idiot. Well, the Vikings get the ball back. They need 20 yards to score. The Chargers defense steps up again. They force 4th down with about, 45 seconds or so to go. So they absolutely need to get it inside the 10 or somewhere to get that first down. And Kirk Cousins comes up with the play. There's no timeouts left. Throws it over the middle. It's caught. They're inside the 10. They've got the first down. There's 36 seconds left on the clock. And I am yelling, okay, you got to go. You got to spike it. You got to clock it. Get down there quickly. You'll have 3 plays to score a touchdown and win the game with 30 seconds left. You got plenty of time. Instead, you see Kirk Cousins put his hands to his ears on his helmet, like listening for a play from the offensive coordinator from the sidelines, and he's shaking his head. He's shaking his head. Vikings fans, I'm sorry, Vikings fans. I'm glad you're into the game. Are screaming their heads off, but their own player can't hear the play call.
Hold on, though. Hang on. Kirk Cousins has been in the league since 1979. Kirk Cousins knows, I got to clock this ball. Well, everyone on the team should have known. We're clocking
that's
this
not
ball.
what Kevin O'Connell, that's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to run a quick play to catch the Chargers, without a defensive change and try to score quickly. That was a coaching decision and a bad one by Kevin O'Connell. I love Kevin. Terrible coaching decision because they couldn't get the play in. Eventually, after 24 seconds run off the clock. So they go from 36 to 13 when they finally snapped this ball. Cousins never got the play, so he had to just call his own play. Ends up throwing it into the end zone. It's tipped. It's intercepted by Kenneth Murray Jr., and the game is over. Even if it had been incomplete, you cost yourself probably 2 more chances. You would have had 1, maybe 2 chances at most left to get the ball into the end zone. It was just an utter and complete failure that caused me to scream at my television, clock it! What are you doing?
Me too.
What are you doing? You can't just let the clock tick, 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 tick as the game is about to expire and you're down 4.
I had the Vikings in a pick'em. It was a pick'em game, and I thought, all right, they're at home, they're desperate to win. And the other, listen, if you're a Charger fan, you're like, maybe things have changed for us because, Minnesota had an interception in the end zone. Justin Herbert with a terrible, terrible throw hit the defender right in the hands. He booted it, tips it up. Touchdown Chargers. He catches it in the air. If you're a Charger fan, you're like, I'm used to that going the other way.
It was a can't-lose game. The stat, teams that start 1-2 make the playoffs about 25% of the time. Teams that start 0-3 make the playoffs 1% of the time.
So my fantasy team is going with 1% chance.
1%
like the Padres after 3 weeks.
That's not good.
That's killer.
That's not good.
Killer.
But I will say this. If you're a Chargers hater like me, Keenan Allen had 215 yards receiving, 18 catches.
Unreal.
He threw a touchdown to Mike Williams. An absolute career day, and the Chargers still barely won. Herbert threw for 400-plus yards, nuts, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Chargers had to play perfect to beat a winless Minnesota team, barely, and it took a head-scratching coaching decision in the last seconds to even pull out that win. So I'm not too worried that the Chargers are all of a sudden going on a massive run. They've got talent. They're not a terrible team.
No.
I mean, most predictions had them as a playoff type contender, 9-10 type win team this season. I think they'll probably end up below that a little bit, but yeah, we were never going 0-17, and they did get a win yesterday. So I wasn't happy, but
it was staggering. That was one of the best endings. Depending on the outcome, but it was just a really, really interesting football game. The Chiefs absolutely rolled, took on the Bears. The Bears continue to just die. The Jets. I've never seen anything like it. Zach Wilson, people are calling for that kid's head. He was the 2nd overall pick or the 1st? Was he
second?
Second, yeah. 2nd overall pick. Looks like he has no idea what he's doing out there at all. Not in the slightest. And their head coach came out after the game and said, he gives us the best chance to win.
They don't want to think their season ended after 4 plays, but it ended after 4 plays, unfortunately.
It's unreal.
A bitter pill to swallow.
No doubt.
And then Sunday Night Football, the Raiders down 8, kicking a field goal and never getting the ball back.
Correct.
As though their coach, we needed 2 scores to win. Yeah, but you only needed 1 and a 2-point conversion to force overtime. That gives you a chance to win, at least at the end. They never get the ball back. Steelers end up winning that game. Josh McDaniels may be a good offensive coordinator, but he is continuing to show that head coaching seems to be beyond his grasp a little bit.
They have so much talent there as well. They have a lot of talent.
Devontae Adams is
He's
great.
Unbelievable. My God, he's watching him. I only watched the first half and I fell asleep, but it was you look at it and go, okay, like the Raiders are finally going to figure it out. No, sorry.
We'll take a timeout. Bob Melvin, it was implied, at least in The Athletic last night, is on his way out the door, or at least wide speculation that one way or another, Padres will have yet another different manager when we show up to spring training in February. Talk about that. Is it the right call? Next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Brought to you by Ashley Furniture. Fall is here, and at Ashley, seasonal decorating is a breeze. Snuggle up on a sectional or ultra-modern sofa. Gather outside with a new fire pit or conversation set. Ashley has everything you'll need. Shop in store or visit ashley.com today. We had the discussion last week about Manny Machado shutting it down. Wondering if we've changed any thoughts after seeing what Manny's still been able to do as DH over the weekend. We'll get to that and Bob Melvin's status after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the Premier Auto family, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by California Coast Credit Union. A couple of problems in the North County. One of them is this collision eastbound 78 right before the 15. That is over to the right shoulder. Also getting reports of a collision or make that a stalled vehicle on the southbound side of the 5 right before Poinsettia. It's in the HOV lane. They did clear that accident out in the East County westbound side of the 8 near Greenfield, so speeds are picking up there. With MasterCard Local, Cal Coast Credit Union members can earn 5% cash back on purchases made with Cal Coast MasterCard credit and debit cards every time they shop at participating businesses. Learn more at calcoastcu.org/shop-local. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So, Manny clarified a little bit on his potential surgery and injury status and the recovery that's necessary, and it does seem as though it could linger into the start of next season.
Yes.
You know, the recovery, at least, you know, playing in the field seems like something Manny will not be able to do at the start of the year. Maybe DHing like he's doing right now, but there is a recovery period. It's going to last at least into spring training and quite possibly into the first couple of weeks, month of the season next year in April. We talked last week about, you know, when was the time to pull the ripcord, get the surgery, get the healing process started sooner rather than later. Manny, just to be being Manny, said, I am going to keep going out there as long as I can. As long as they have not told us we're eliminated, going to keep playing. Had 2 home runs on Friday night, both go-ahead shots, 2 of his biggest swings of the season, getting up to 30 home runs on the season. Padres beat the Cardinals for their 8th straight win, 4-2. 8th straight. I mean, the team that did not have one 4-game winning streak all year
doubled it,
put together 2 in a row when they finally did it. Not just one, but 2 4-game winning streaks back-to-back for 8 in a row. And Manny was a big part of it there, you know, just even though he couldn't play the field, I think just being out there and clearly something that his teammates respect about him.
Yeah, they said as much in the Associated Press piece this morning. It's on ESPN.com if you want to read that. But, yeah, they said as much. To a man said, you know, Xander, to summarize, just basically said it's amazing what he can do playing through injury. Tatis said, the guy posts. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal amongst baseball players. You know, that being said, I don't know that my opinion's changed much. This year is a minuscule chance. You're going to need a lot of help to do it. I would not think less of him as a person or a player if he decided to pack it in and get the surgery. I wouldn't have thought less of him 2 weeks ago if he decided to pack it in and get the surgery. The season has been dangling by less than the breadth of a fingernail for a while. So I would not have thought less of him. You know, contrary, there's a guy on Twitter that said, oh, you would have ripped him for quitting. Injured is injured. You know, like, quitting is not being injured. He's injured. He needs surgery. Let's get it going now. Manny Machado on opening day of 2024 when we try to run this thing back, see what we can do, make the playoffs. That, to me, felt more important than a fingernail's chance at the end of this season. But, I'm not him.
My logical brain works kind of like you're describing right now. Why would you trade any games here at the end of this season for games at the start of next season, which will, of course, be meaningful?
Yes.
You're at 0-0. Those games will absolutely be just as important as the ones that are in August and September. If you can win more in April, you don't have to win as many down the stretch in September. We know that for a fact.
If this year taught us anything, it's time for us to take those games in April more seriously and not give them the "there's still plenty of time" excuse.
That being said, what has clearly been written about this year, Manny's status as a leader in the clubhouse, Manny only knows the one way how to lead. It really is. It's by example and being out there. And this is his chance to show that. Now, will that feel different in April if he's not out there? And will he look like, all right, well, you could have been out here if you had made a different decision back in late August, early September of 2023?
I don't know that should be the narrative either, and it will be. There's no question. It will be. There will be fans that say, oh, this is great. We're getting beat up over at third base, and we're not getting any production from third base. If Ha-Sung Kim or whoever it may be is playing third base and he doesn't get off to a scorching hot start with the glove and the bat, it's all going to turn to Manny. Manny is a lightning rod. Whether he likes it or not, that's what he is. And, I'm not walking back my comments. I still think he should get the surgery sooner than later. But, if it's 6 to 7 months, Ben, I just want him back healthy. I don't want to have to get to a point. I guess if you're gonna need to lose Manny Machado next season, better early April than down the road by some lingering elbow, that wasn't properly fixed and didn't have proper time to heal and rehab, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I liked the idea this year of, hey, they're going to get off to a start, and then they're going to supercharge the lineup with Fernando Tatis Jr. after 20 games.
Yeah.
It almost feels like we're going to go into a similar situation
Very
next year
similar.
where,
Yeah.
and then they're going to supercharge the lineup with Manny back. We already know it didn't work out so well this year.
Tread water until Manny gets back.
He could kill us, all of us. I can vividly recall us saying, yeah, man, just tread water until he gets back, and then we roll. We didn't. We never rolled. We rolled lately. That's it. I'm with you, man. I just, it's unfair to him. He's really damned if he damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. He really is. I mean, unless he comes back immediately, Ben, day one, and starts raking again, it will be, well, should have gotten the surgery. We see it all the time in sports. We see it, a pitcher. It's funny, man, because I've talked about it before. Everyone was screaming at Tatis for years to get surgeries. And, surgeries are tough on the body. They are. It's easy for us to sit here and say, just get surgery. Well, you get your knee cleaned out? Just go get it cleaned out. Get it done. It's a lot. The rehab process is a lot. They're human beings after all. But Manny has acknowledged, I need this surgery. I'm going to get this surgery. That's when I'm like, all right, bro, he hasn't said, I'm going to look at some other options. I'm going to get a second opinion. He said, no, I need the surgery. If that's the case, get the surgery. That's kind of how I feel.
The other observation from Friday night is Matt Waldron, I thought, threw by far his best game.
2 in a row now for him.
5 1/3, just 3 hits, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts. He actually was getting more swing and miss and has moved to a higher percentage of knuckleballs. I think he was around like 40 to 45% knuckleballs, but most of the strikeouts actually came on the non-knuckleballs. But clearly, he had the batters looking for the knuckleballs enough.
Sets it up, man.
That it made some of the other stuff more effective.
Well, how good does that heat look after throwing those knuckleballs?
I bring it up. It's the first time I think I've ever watched Matt Waldron pitch and actually thought he actually might be someone they can put at the end of a starting rotation next year.
We do this every time. We just did this with Avila. We just did it.
I know.
We do this every time.
I had never done it with Waldron, though. I really didn't think he was going to be able to get big league batters out. But watching him on Friday, I thought, well, maybe if he gets the right mix in there, and the fact that no one has seen knuckleballs in the majors for several years
gives him a huge leg up. And again, I think one of the things we said early on when he first started, he only threw a couple in his first start, and we're like, bro, throw it. And he's throwing it a little bit more now, and you're seeing how effective it can be. Again, we love to hand out the 5th rotation spot. We've done it. We've done it several times in the last few weeks. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
And we've kind of seen the other way with Avila going. He looks more effective as a long reliever out of the bullpen, valuable that way. But
how about Nick Martinez, man, coming in and pitching really, really well out of that mini starter role. There's
either we're going to have plenty of opportunities next year.
Yeah,
plenty of jobs available.
No doubt. And that's the thing is, it's the more you can see from these guys now sets you up a little bit for next year to say, all right, we've got what your dream is you have 9 guys competing for 5 spots, and really 3 spots. And then what's left over can go to the pen, or they can, continue to develop or whatever. That's what you need. You need 9, 10 starters to make it through a season. We've seen it. We ran out of gas so many times. The record the Padres had this year with using some of those guys from Double and Triple A was putrid. It was terrible. We had no depth outside of that. So this gives you a little bit of depth, hopefully.
You mentioned, Nick, 4 solid innings again on Saturday night in the game that Padres ended up going to extra innings in. And I tweeted in that one. It wasn't the 10th that bothered me. That's the one that I think fans were focused on. Bob Melvin, why aren't you bunting? You have a chance to win it. You finally stopped the team from scoring in the top of the 10th. You just need to get that runner home from second. Why are you not bunting? We talked about it earlier. You've got Campusano up there. He's the one guy who really has been coming through, driving in runs lately. I don't have a problem with the decision of Campusano swinging away after the intentional walk. Backfired, he grounded into the double play, and you ended up not scoring.
Yeah, it sucked.
It's the 9th inning that bothered me. When they loaded the bases, they're down 2-1, loaded the bases on 3 walks with nobody out.
Brutal.
Bogarts grounds into the fielder's choice to tie the game. So now you've got the winning run at third, 1 out, and Fernando Tatis Jr. coming to the plate.
Brutal.
And I don't know where to put the blame here. Obviously, Fernando first. He's the guy who's actually holding the bat. A lot of people put it on coaching. Some people put it on philosophy, organizational philosophy. But I tweeted afterwards. I don't know who to blame, but I'm pretty sure that if the Braves are in that situation or the Dodgers are in that situation, and it doesn't matter if it's Freddie Freeman or their 7th hitter or 9th hitter up, they find a way to get that run home. And the Padres have not been able to do that all season long.
That was against Helsley, right?
That was against Helsley in the 9th inning.
He's the definition
got
of
it up to 103, I think.
The definition of effectively wild.
Threw some good sliders to Tatis.
Walking everyone, but you can't lay off that slider. It just, again, don't try to do too much in that situation. You just got to put the ball in play if you're Tatis,
and I see a lot of blame on Bob Melvin for not coaching him upright in that situation.
What do you do? Do you pull him aside?
I don't know what you do. I really don't.
He's got one job. Get that run home.
I see blaming selfish, ego-driven players for not, sacrificing for the team. I don't understand.
He wanted to win that game.
I'm pretty sure that Fernando Tatis Jr. did not. I got to hit a 3-run homer here.
No, he didn't. No,
he was just trying to put the ball in play to win the game, and maybe that was the problem. Maybe he changed his philosophy too much, an approach to just try to be a good team player and get the ball in play, and it didn't work out for him. I don't know who to blame in a situation like that.
You blame the player, man. That's easy. That's on the player.
But I do feel like good teams, they find a way to win those games.
We have not won those. We have not been clutch with runners in scoring position at all. That night,
especially the extra innings. The batting average in extra innings is
putrid.
It's truly mind-bogglingly bad.
Well, and again, you shouldn't have been there. You should not have been there. You had plenty of chances that game. That game should have never been that close. Should have never been that close. And that was, just another way of the Padres' inability to ride any sort of momentum sometimes, and that was one of them. You had the game on Friday night. It was electric, incredible. And then the next day you should have pounded that guy. And you didn't. And you got yourself in that position.
And if your argument that the Padres need to change managers, and again, Dennis Lin writing that, the widespread rumors are that Bob Melvin will either be fired or will leave voluntarily. If you want to say the manager has a limited effect in baseball, but he can pull enough levers that your extra innings and 1-run games are kind of a reflection on what kind of a job the manager did. I can't argue with you. It was a miserable season on both of those counts. Worst in baseball. In the case of extra innings, now 0-12, tied for the worst in history with the Montreal Expos of 1969.
Nice.
And yes, if Bob Melvin had pulled a few different strings, I'm sure they would have had a better record on both counts. I just don't know that he was like malpractice in pulling the wrong strings. It was like someone guessing heads or tails and just getting it wrong every single time.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what do we do here? Bunt or not bunt? Because the right decision, one time maybe to bunt and one time maybe to swing away. And you don't know what it is before it happens. So it's essentially you got a coin flip and you're going heads. And it's like, oh, tails, we're 0 for 1. All right, next time, tails. It's heads. We're 0 for 2. And they went like that in the extra innings all season long, losing like the 50-50 coin flips every single time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
They did bunt sometimes. It's not like they never bunted.
I know.
You said the Braves never bunt.
Right.
They've never sacrificed.
Right.
Padres did several times this year.
Yeah,
even in extra innings they did.
The thing with Campusano, I don't know his bunting acumen. I can't I don't imagine he's a hitter. I mean, he's a good hitter too. So he'd been pretty locked in. I'm fine letting him swing away, but he's got to do a job there too. If he does bunt, hey, by the way, it's not like we haven't left guys on second and third with one out. Plenty this season. Plenty. They could have walked the next guy. Next guy hits some double play. I mean, then you gave away one of your outs. I'm just not a fan of giving away outs. By the way, the caveat to that is, unless it works, and it really hasn't for this team this year, then it's a great call. But it just hasn't worked, and especially this team, where the offense has been so bad. You're going to give away an out for this offense?
I only remember like 2 or 3 times all season long where I truly disagreed with the decision Bob Melvin made. I think that's a small number for a 162-game baseball season. I really do.
Of actual decision, not bullpen management.
But an actual, I don't think I would have done that there. I don't know. We'll continue to talk about it. We got 1 hour left. Paulie's got some headlines in the Reindl Report. Sam Levitt's going to join us at 9:30.
Sammy.
Monday rolls on with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Paulie said we came back like a minute early here, so I can get some business done. Because we weren't even supposed to be on the air. It's like 8:59 and 40 seconds right now.
People love business.
I can tell everybody you can tune in to kick off with Boomer and Valenti each week. Boomer Esiason, Mike Valenti, breaking down the games. Maybe you caught it Saturday morning, 6 a.m. here on 97.3 The Fan, or always on the free Odyssey app, presented nationally by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos, Brought to you by those who drink it and by Lowe's. Lowe's knows home improvement. I also believe I owe you a Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline liner. Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Now it's 9 o'clock.
That's not all you owe me, but
What
I'll
else
hold
do
on to
I
that story
yes,
for a
okay.
few
Oh, you
minutes.
sucker, mother. I hate
We'll get to that in a second.
Ah.
I just want to wrap up here on Bob Melvin because if and when Bob Melvin is no longer the manager of the Padres, if that happens in the next week, likely 1 week from today is usually the day, Black Monday, that it happens after the baseball season is over. I certainly hope that there's not going to be any narrative created that Bob Melvin was the cause of the struggles this last season for the San Diego Padres.
Do you mean like from the players?
From anyone.
Oh,
from the organization, from...
The fans are going to do what the fans are going to do.
But
there's already people that want him gone and think, Ozzie Guillen, who hasn't managed in a decade, would be a better fit.
I guess I just can't figure out what... you're AJ Preller, and you have to sit up there at the news conference saying... Hey, we have parted ways with Bob Melvin, and we're going to start our search for a new manager. And the question is, all right, what wasn't working with Bob Melvin? What do you say? I mean, other than, the record wasn't what we wanted it to be.
Sure. I mean, that's it.
I mean, you can't say he lost the clubhouse.
Nope, the clubhouse loves him.
Players weren't getting, weren't listening to the message anymore.
If you're a prospective manager, if that happens and the job opening is there, I've seen a million people in the chat today saying Ozzie Guillen. Okay, Ozzie Guillen takes that job interview. Is his first question not what happened last year?
Not
Why
his,
didn't
because he hasn't coached in forever, and no one will give him a job. So he would take the job. I think. I think that's why it leads me to believe it would be another time. I don't want to start the funeral march for Bob Melvin. I mean, things could work out, and he could come back. I sure hope he does. But
a lot of times, at the very least, because most teams that are out of it kind of give up at the end of the season. That's an easy way. Okay. All right. Obviously, things just fell apart at the end. Team quit at the end. You can't make that argument with Bob. They're playing their best baseball at the end of the season.
We heard that exact same argument with Andy Green. We heard it with Jace
and it
Tingler.
worked. And with Jace Tingler, it's like we need someone with more experience. We need to try something different.
You got it.
It made a lot of sense at that time.
Much experience.
But now,
we need like 10 years. Not
now
20
you
years.
can't make the argument. Bob just was too respected. He had too much experience and success.
Yeah, he's just too calm.
Yeah, he had too steady of a hand on the ship all season long. It's hard to make that case. I think it's a difficult task to make that without, sounding like kind of foolish about what we're looking for in a manager. Because when you really think about it, what you look for in a manager is Bob Melvin. You look for everything that he usually embodies. Wise, steady hand, well respected, understands both the the modern game and the old school game. It's hard to come up with a characteristics of a manager that Bob Melvin doesn't check pretty much all the boxes.
Well, and if he wants to continue to manage, he will be managing by Tuesday, I would imagine. If he's fired on Monday, I'm assuming somebody will hire him by Tuesday. And somebody made the point yesterday, the very astute point, if you're a Padres fan, I don't know that Bob Melvin is going to go scorched earth when he leaves.
Doubt it.
But certainly not publicly. But what he could do is go at that point and say, hey, just so you know, especially if he walks away. If he walks away, he can walk into to Eric Grupner's office or call Peter Seidler and say, hey, look, this is why I'm going, and this is the problem. And I think we know what the problem. It's been outlined in every one of these articles. So if it's just firing a manager over a personality clash, that's a problem for me. That's a problem for me. I think that can be fixed.
AJ is denied, and Bob is denied that there's any personality clashes.
No, it wasn't a denial.
Bob said specifically, AJ and I get along. We have differences of opinion, but they're healthy.
How did he say it? We have the audio, Paulie.
We have the audio.
You remember how he said it?
He said, no, we do it. Get along. We get along just fine.
I think it was from last week.
Yeah, I think he said we get along just fine.
We
of
get
course,
along
there
fi-
are some
no,
differences
we get
of
along
opinion.
fine.
Yeah.
If Dennis Lynn wrote an article in The Athletic that said trouble in the Ben and Woods paradise, right? Ben and Woods actually hate each other. You know what? I wouldn't say, we get along fine. I would say, are you out of your mind? Here, look at our texts. Like, you're stupid. That's a terrible article. It makes no sense. We're just not winning right now. That's what I would say. Not, we're good. We're fine. Right? Like,
I would
different.
totally say that we get along fine.
We get along fine.
Woods and I get along fine. Paul and I get along fine. We get along fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Everything here is fine. It's fine.
Sifting through 97.3. I know they posted it.
Yeah, it's somewhere out there, but we all heard it. No, it did not give you the warm and fuzzies that those articles.
How do you get along with Adam?
Fine. No, I get along with Adam very well, actually.
Okay, good.
Very, very
well. So, like I said, it's going to be a difficult job for anyone else to step into.
The problem is there's so few of those jobs, right? That anybody comes in, the ego is like,
they'll take it.
Of course they'll take it. Paulie, it doesn't matter what happened. Hey, what happened last year with Bob Melvin?
You're not going to get to February. Spring training arrives, and
nobody wants it.
We still haven't found anyone willing to accept the job as manager of the San Diego
I'll tell you,
Padres.
I wouldn't take it. If it was Woodsy, you're the last resort. I'm out. I don't want to do it. No chance. I'd rather do this.
Look, I mean, I think he said it well in the fact that, we get along fine, but we're going to have our differences of opinion, and I think a lot of times that's healthy in trying to get to the right spot. And when you're not performing well, sometimes you're going to have some differences in opinion.
If you had to rank the potential managers simply from the 97.3 The Fan staff, like we've gone all the way through everyone, they couldn't find anyone. We're going to the flagship radio station partner. One of you has to manage the team. We start with Tony Gwynn Jr.
Tony Gwynn Jr.
And then who's
coach.
second?
Coach.
He's
literally
a
a coach.
Yeah.
Are you third,
also,
Woods?
Yeah, I'm a coach.
You're third.
You
He's
are
T-ball
a
coach.
Yeah. I was a coach.
Then Paul. Scraby? Where does he line? Am I ahead of Scraby? Braden's a coach, too. He's a coach right now. Football coach, but he's coach.
You may be dead last.
Am I last
you may
on the
be dead
list?
last on
it's
the
like
list.
me, Sammy, and Scraby.
Yeah.
I mean,
Elo played college baseball, right?
yeah, Sammy knows the pulse of the team just because he's been there every single game. He's got to be ahead of me. Now, I've been the longest Padres fan of all of you,
That's true.
than maybe Coach, just being here in the market. I mean, Elo, he knows a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of statistical information.
I feel
at his
like you would lose
disposal.
the clubhouse very
I
quick.
would. Yeah, very get along.
You'd
No
show
one's-
up
You'd show up
7 minutes before game time. Guys are like, guess Ben's not hitting us. You couldn't hit fungos at all to save your life. That's why you need to come to fantasy. I want to see if you can hit one fungo.
You wouldn't be there for the post-game press conferences.
Correct.
You'd be
It's gone.
long gone.
Just like, I got to go. Like, the dog's got to be walked. I've got to get out of here. Ben is the manager would be the greatest bit of all time. We got a 110 start. Ben walks in at 105.
Ask Paul. I did a good job coaching his adult league basketball
I know, I
team.
saw.
I arrived.
We lost, but yeah.
You arrived
25 minutes into the
late.
game, and I left the second the game was over. But while I was there, I thought I did a nice job.
It really would be the best reality show of all time. All the guys looking around like, where is this clown? Where is he?
Worst coach ever.
And somebody's like, did he play at all? They're like, not really. Not really. I mean, Little League, he says he was a good pitcher, but he said he would get
games in his head.
He said he would get too nervous,
Yeah.
and so he got kind of domed out by it. I don't know. Guy can't hit a fungo to save it. You up there whiffing on fungos is my favorite idea of all time. Hang on, just wait.
Kevin Costner hitting the first one to Shoeless Joe.
It's coming. It's coming.
I'll get some out there.
I'll get some out there. Would be the best bit of all time.
Oh.
If they get that desperate, you got to go Tony Gwynn Jr. first. You have to. No offense to Coach.
He's already being paid by the team.
He's being paid by the team. It's an easy transition.
Yep.
Jerry Coleman did it, did he not? So yeah. So,
Broadcast booth to the manager's
yeah,
office.
just
And
roll
you know what?
right down there.
Tony's maybe on the list, actually, now that I think about it.
I'm not kidding. I think you could do a hell of a lot worse than Tony Gwynn Jr.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Paulie, let's get some Reindl Report headlines.
Oh, I love that bit.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report. with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. How we doing, boys?
Fantastic.
Got a little breaking NFL news. But
Okay, let's get right to that then.
Do you want to make it a headline, or do you want to just maybe throw it in there?
Just go do what you got to do, man.
Ian Rappaport, Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams has a torn ACL and is out for the season.
He's oft injured, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's oft injured. He's really talented.
Yeah.
Really talented when he's on the field. All right.
All right.
All right. Off
This
to you,
would have
Paul.
devastated us 6 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not going to celebrate at anyone's injury. I may not want the team to win, but I like Mike Williams. I like Keenan Allen.
Yeah, dude.
Covered him here. A great player. Great player. Slayer.
We'll keep it in the NFL, but more on the fantasy survivor side of things.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Just using this platform
Gonna use
for
my
your own
segment
personal
to take my victory lap
What a turd!
after not even 3 full weeks. We still have 2 more games tonight, gentlemen. But the survivor pool, the Ben and Woods survivor pool with upper management, Adam, and our boss Michael. It's over.
I wonder what
I
the
have
shortest. I mean,
week 1.
Yeah. I mean, if you only have like 2 people going head to
No,
head,
you could have
obviously,
10 people.
and they all
Everybody
lose.
could
Has it ever
lose. I'm
actually
sure-
happened?
I'm
though?
sure it has.
Like one person won in week 1 and everybody else lost.
I'm sure week 1, week 2. I'm sure it happens all the time. Actually,
It was the
I'd be
3 of
surprised.
us, Adam and Michael, for a 5-person survivor pool. You 2 were both out on week 1.
I was on day 1.
Woodsy took the
I
Chiefs
picked the
the very
2-1
first game of the
Seahawks,
season.
who of course won both their other games, but somehow couldn't beat the Rams at home.
Yep, and then we all, the 3 of us, made it through week 2. Me, Adam, and Michael. And then I picked the 49ers on Thursday Night Football
Solid.
this week.
Easy
money right there. And I didn't know who the other 2 guys picked until late last night, but they both picked the same team. They both picked Jacksonville, who got destroyed by Houston
Terrible.
yesterday.
Houston.
First win for CJ Stroud.
So if you want to just send that $50 over whenever you want.
Yep.
No
I'll
rush.
get it to you by the end of the week.
I'll get to you at the end of the season when it's due. Right?
He's that guy.
He's gonna pay
technically
in pennies.
but our season is
Oh,
over.
all right.
It's over. There's nothing else.
Now, congratulations,
So what does Paulie
Paul.
do? Just play with yourself.
Yeah, I guess I just keep it rolling, see how long I can
You gotta, see how long you can keep it going.
Stupid. I figured you were going to say they picked the Cowboys. Cowboys decimated survivor pools.
Yeah,
yesterday. Decimated.
they were on the road. It's always I have trouble
the
picking road
Cardinals.
teams.
I already
but-
picked them, so I didn't have to worry
Oh,
about
that's
that.
right. That's right.
But, anyways, we'll move on. College football, we did not talk. We talked college football earlier. We did not talk about San Diego State. They lost to Boise State on Friday night at the old Snapdragon. 34-31 in favor of the Broncos.
It was at anniversary dinner, and I came home and I saw some tweets from Benjamin, some other people watching the game. A lot of missed tackles, a lot of poor opportunities. Were there turnovers late in the game?
Yeah, well, early in the game. First possession, Aztecs got a long kickoff return, drove it down, and then Jalen Maiden took it to the 2-inch line and fumbled.
Oh.
So there's 7 points lost right there. Missed short field goal, missed tackles, gave up another long touchdown. Honestly, the Aztecs should have won that game. They dominated time of possession. They moved the ball well, played their best game of the season,
It's the worst sport sometimes,
and found
man.
a way to lose. And it's going to be one that probably haunts them later in the season. Ouch.
Got some notes here
Oh,
from
good.
the San Diego State media department.
Okay. I
How
love the
things are
notes.
trending for the Aztecs.
Trending
It's
in
my
the-
favorite section
it's
on
best.
the game notes.
The best.
Let's see here. The Aztecs lost the coin toss for the 3rd time this season in 5 games.
That's after going 2-0.
That's worse than you'd expect, just random luck.
Right. Yeah.
They should reevaluate their organizational philosophy.
Well, it's not theirs
On
at
the coin
home.
flip.
It's the other team.
That's a good point.
Good news. San Diego State started with the ball for the 109th time in their last 150 games.
That's it. Imagine leading off our show today if we were going to cover it. and being like, hey.
Well, that's a choice because when they win the coin flip, they usually take the ball.
That'd be like if we
and
did,
when the other team wins, they usually defer. So the Aztecs get the ball anyway.
I would
if we
also
sent
put
out-
it in the Aztecs' hands offensively.
I would too.
This is like if we sent out Ben and Wood's show notes after every show to the local media. Woodsy started today's show with "Get Your Heads Right" on a Monday for the 69th Monday in a row.
Exactly. Ben was here 19 minutes before
First
the Open.
Yeah.
This is good.
I was
State
actually
also,
here almost 30 minutes early today.
You really crushed it.
I'll give them some
Thank you.
credit here. They held an opponent scoreless on their opening possession for the third time this season, the 23rd time since 2021, and the 77th time that they have held an opponent scoreless on their opponent's opening drive. 77th time since 2015.
Okay. Small victory.
Is that something that anyone is ever going to use?
I don't know.
In
I
like
just
a,
did.
a point
Paulie
that
just
they're
used
going to
it.
make.
He just
I guess
did,
so.
actually, yeah.
Jamie, keep those coming.
Those are not going to waste.
Here's a trend. The Aztecs have lost 3 games in a row.
Correct.
There's
That's
a
a
trend
bad
for you
trend.
right there.
Yep.
And finally, got a headline here. Insider.com. A couple received a $1,400 refund on a flight after being seated next to a farting dog for a 13-hour flight.
I'd be livid. They
I'm
can't do anything
actually
about it?
surprised they got the refund.
Are you?
Yeah, I just feel
Kinda
like
buyer
airlines
beware?
are mostly like, we got you there, didn't we?
They
Is
were,
there anything else we promised you other than getting you to your destination?
I would feel sympathetic for like the first hour. And then, hour 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I would probably start to rage.
They relocated the couple from premium economy to economy. So this
They
was
moved them back.
This was a 13-hour flight from Paris to Singapore.
Oh.
And the reason that they had to move back, which is why they got their refund, was because they were seated next to it says here, a farting, snorting, and drooling dog who was just passing gas the entire time.
Did the dog have its own seat, or was it on the lap of the
It was
person?
probably in the carrier.
On a seat?
And underneath. If it's a little dog, which I'm assuming it is, it would have to be. It's in a carrier, underneath the seat, or on their lap.
It
And
just
so,
says they were seated next to a passenger with a dog who they believe was a service animal.
Sure.
Or an emotional support animal.
What a bit that is.
And they had to move. They paid the extra money for the premium economy and got sent back to regular economy where there were 2 seats remaining. The woman says to her husband, "You need to sort this. We can't have this dog sitting next to us for 13 hours."
Do you think they played the game going, hey, if we complain about this dog, maybe they'll move us up to first class?
And then they moved him back.
And
It
they ended up
really
moving him
backfired
back.
on him? Yeah,
They did get
backfired.
their money back, though.
Yeah, they did.
It's a lot of money.
Big old bulldog. I see a picture.
Well,
He looks like a
bulldog.
sweet,
They snort
sweet
a lot.
boy.
When you said snorting,
Yeah.
I thought bulldog immediately. They
Well,
always,
because I made
they always
the,
sound like they
think
have
I could've
sleep
done
apnea. Like, oh, poor bulldog.
I made the point a couple weeks ago. If you're complaining about babies crying on planes, then you are the problem. It's not the baby's fault. They're babies. That's what they're going to do. Get noise canceling headphones or AirPods.
Not really the parent's fault.
It's
either.
not the parent's fault.
Right.
If you've
Can't
had a
just
crying baby,
Not
shut
take your
up.
baby. Sometimes you have to take your baby.
Yeah, you have to
on a flight.
Right. It really is. It's easy to get around, work around it. Right. I love babies, and I'm very sympathetic. I also know, oh, that kid's screaming bloody murder. No problem. Let me throw these bad boys on, and I'm good to go. There's nothing you can do about a farting dog. There's not smell canceling nose pods that you can put in. There should be. There should be. You put that cream on that they use under that the coroners use, that menthol under your nose, like Silence of the Lambs, Vicks or whatever. Vicks. Hey, can I get some Vicks here? Thank you.
I mean, you can wear a blindfold to like the light. So those are
Correct.
light
Mask.
canceling iPods.
Light
essentially.
canceling
And
iPods,
you've got
yeah.
noise canceling earpods, but you can't have smell canceling nose pods.
Two earplugs just up your nose. It would be terrible. That would be absolutely terrible.
They'd have to breathe through your mouth the whole time.
People bring their dogs. They're more brazen with where they bring their dogs these days. I'll say that. Vaughn's. Just golden retriever walking through Vaughn's yesterday when I was there. Hey, how you doing, bud? This is weird. I get it. Don't come after me, dog community. I'm a dog lover. It's just people have gotten very brazen with things. That's what I'm saying.
We'll take a quick timeout. Sammy Levitt at the bottom of the hour. It's been a very busy Monday show. Rolls on after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Tell you what, I got more engagement on my tweet about what it would take for the Padres still to make the playoffs than I think anything I've said in the last few months.
I got more engagement on my if you want to trade with Juan Soto, you're an idiot.
You tweeted that, and everyone started
It was not about you.
tagging me, and
it's not about you.
And it was like,
it's not about you.
I want to be clear that my suggestion that the Padres trade Juan Soto.
This happened, by the way, while I was out. I was in Chicago.
And it also
he loses his mind.
It also assumes that the Padres are unable to extend Juan Soto. My preference would be extending Juan Soto. But if the options are playing one season out with Juan Soto and then losing him to free agency, or potentially trading him, then I do think the Padres need to very seriously consider trading them if they don't feel like they can sign him to a long-term extension.
We are absolutely going to do the topic wheel in the offseason, but it will be the Padres topic wheel. Paulie will splice in all of the Padres topics, and that will be one. That will be a major one of the offense or of the offseason, talking about, pros, cons, what you think you could get. You can go back in history and look at what players of Juan Soto's caliber have received. Mookie Betts was an interesting one. We kicked it around a little bit this morning. How did that work out? Would you possibly do a third team in there, Ben, so that everybody gets what they're actually looking for? I think I will say this before, we're not doing that topic here, but we will do it in the offseason. I will say this. I think the perception of what people think they can get back for Juan Soto in January or February is a little bit skewed. I do. I feel like in certain people's minds, they think trading him is the answer to all of the rotation problems. We could get a major league ready first baseman. We could get this. We could get
three
that.
starting pitchers, a first baseman, and a DH.
I caution you. I caution you to maybe go back in history and look at what some of these deals have netted. And then also, I don't know how they're going to make the financials work. I'll say that right up front. I have no idea. I have no clue how they're going to make the financials work. But, that's a higher pay grade.
I think you cannot go into the offseason making your mind up already. We're definitely trading Juan Soto. No matter how bad the offers are, we have to unload him. You shouldn't do that.
And
then I think you also can't say, we're keeping Juan Soto. If you're not signing him, you can't go, well, we're keeping him no matter what for this last season. Even though this team is offering us an unbelievable package that is just dazzling, you have to be willing to consider it either way. Approach it with an open mind this offseason. I did see a Braves fan get dragged a little bit, tweeting out, remember when they used to act like Juan Soto was as good as Ronald Acuna Jr.? And the tweet was pointed out, all right, well, they're both ending their sixth season. And if you look at their career numbers, like Juan Soto has a better career WAR, has more RBI, has a better on-base percentage, has a better OPS plus. Acuna has one more hit than Soto, has 3 more homers than Soto. Stolen bases, definitely Acuna has way more. Batting average, slight edge to Acuna. They're essentially, through 6 seasons, very similar players at this point and juncture in their careers. Now, is Acuna coming off a phenomenal MVP season and Juan Soto is coming off a very solid all-star-ish type season? Yes.
Solid, huh?
Very solid.
I would say it's a little better than solid.
Very, very solid. 33 home runs.
Yeah, what's his OPS?
It's not as good as Acuna's this year.
Okay, he's the MVP. That's better than solid. This is part of the problem here. Solid.
Good. He's not worth, $250,000.
He's the best player on this team miles far and away. The best player on the San Diego Padres is Juan Soto.
Far and away?
Far and away. Is that a debate?
This year?
I mean, Tatis and Machado are pretty good players.
No, it never said they weren't. Who's the best player on the San Diego Padres? It's Juan Soto. It's not even really all that close.
I mean, his OPS, 2020 was 1185 with Washington. 2021, 999. This year it's 992 or 922. So it's down from his best years with Washington.
Sure. It's better than solid.
But it's better than I think he's better than 99% of baseball players.
Yeah, I'd say that's better than solid.
Yeah.
I'd say that's superstar type. Has he always come through in the clutch? No. Has he come through in the clutch more than I think anybody else on our team? Yeah, absolutely.
His batting average with the Padres is definitely lower than it was with Washington.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. And you know, if I know one thing about a 24-year-old player, that's what I want to. He can improve on his defense. Absolutely. Had made a couple of really nice plays yesterday. Has made some really nice plays. Has made some bonehead terrible plays this year. No question about it. But you know, is he the world's best base runner? No. Is Ha-Seong Kim? No. Also no. I mean, guys can improve on a bunch of stuff, and if he put in some work on his defense, Ben, he could be a much better defender. Throw that in with a 922 OPS in a down year.
He's got a good, accurate arm. I mean, makes those one-hop throws to second. Outstanding. Plays balls off the wall really well.
Plays every day.
Yeah. Juan Soto is a phenomenal player.
Now does he have the highest upside of any player on this team?
Should he be,
still maybe.
Should he be the highest paid player in baseball, which is pretty much what he's going to be asking for?
We don't know that.
In his contract.
You just don't know. You don't know.
I know his agent is Scott Boras, sure. And I know he's turned down $440 million
to play in Washington on a team that's going nowhere. I get it. Nobody's going to give any hometown discounts or I'm comfortable and happy to be here discounts. I get that. But I don't know if there's something you could do, smaller window. Juan Soto still potentially has 2 massive contracts in him. 2. Because he's 24 years old. He could go 6-year deal and then hit free agency, get it 30 and be like, pay me more. I want more. It could absolutely happen. So I just don't think – I think the perception of him – really, it's weird to have to sell him to so many in this fan base. It's very weird to me.
Like, did you think back in March you'd have to sell fans on Juan Soto and Bob Melvin?
I didn't. I really didn't. And I thought that was kind of a no-brainer. But listen, to each their own. I don't know how you go into next year, or if you trade him, go into next year going, we are a better team without Juan Soto.
Skip Bayless over here came up with that take a couple weeks ago. That was my answer was, look, I mean, you just can't sell me. The team could not trade him in the offseason, get a couple of guys back, and tell me that they're still all in on 2024.
That's a tough look. It's a tough look.
If you want to move the goalposts again and say, we're actually stocking up for 26.
We're going to look
nasty. Really good in 26.
Right.
I don't like it, but I can at least believe that.
Yeah.
But
sure.
You're not all in next year by getting rid of your best player.
All right, let's continue this conversation with Sam Levitt. Going to join us, his regular Monday feature with our Padres pre- and post-game show host. Get to that next with Ben Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
This song is apropos for the great Sam Levitt, working man. Put in a lot of work on the San Diego Padres team this season, Benjamin. A lot.
I think it's also appropriate that I read him an Ashley Furniture liner, because I've seen what his apartment, at least in the past, looked like with a beach chair.
A TV on a box.
On a TV. Ashley Furniture, fall is here, and at Ashley, seasonal decorating is a breeze. Snuggle up on a sectional or ultra-modern sofa. Gather outside with a new fire pit or conversation set. Ashley has everything you'll need. Shop in store or visit ashley.com today. We will be joined by Sam Levitt right after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the premier Cadillac of Carlsbad Traffic Center, part of the premier auto family, here's Kelly Danek.
Traffic is sponsored by SDG&E. Not too bad of a wrap-up on our roads this morning. Southbound side of the 805, just before Bonita, we have reports of a tire in that right lane and stalled pickup truck on the 2nd Street off-ramp, eastbound 8. In peak wildfire season, as a last resort, SDG&E may need to shut off power in specific areas for public safety. Learn more about public safety power shutoffs at sdge.com/PSPS. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So big moment for Sammy right now, because he gets to find out whether or not he's off or not today, because Woods just asked me, do they play tonight? Well, Sammy does actually have a pre- and post-game show tonight. Padres play the Giants at 6:45, and it's actually a good one, Sammy. You got the #1 ERA in the National League in baseball, Blake Snell, taking on #4 in Logan Webb in a pitcher's duel by the Bay. Good morning, Sammy.
Thought we had an off day, Sammy.
Good morning, gentlemen. Well, here's a little piece of breaking news for you, a little programming note. I am off tonight.
What?
I am taking the night off. Braden will be filling in for me tonight. So a rare off day. It is the 4th game I'll have missed this season. It'll be my last one, so I'll go 158 of 162. Last season I went 157 for 162. So yes, I'm actually off tonight. A very rare off night for me.
You should have bailed on today then and had the entire day.
I wish I would have known.
Come on.
You mean they could be eliminated without you tonight, Sammy? Oh, that's actually a good thing for you.
Ooh, that's a Ben move.
Throw that on someone else. That's very smart
I'm
thinking.
surprised you don't have a vacation lined up, to be honest with you, Ben, right now. Well, Sammy, a little bittersweet yesterday at the old ballpark on a Sunday.
Yeah, very bittersweet. I mean, look, I love being at the ballpark. It's the entire reason I do the job, honestly. I think back to, being in the Cape Cod Baseball League, during summers in college and being an independent ball outside St. Louis. And then I spent a bunch of years at AA. And to be honest with you, I mean, that's one thing I like to do before I leave the stadium every summer is kind of, sit and think about all the different ballparks I've had the pleasure of being at every summer and every baseball season, and it's there's nothing like being at a ballpark throughout the summer and everything it brings, and especially this one. And I said it yesterday on the show, and I'll probably say it on Sunday before we officially wrap up the season. It's just such an incredible place, Petco Park, and the fans have been amazing. And I'm not just saying that because we have, thousands of Padres fans listening, and we're sitting here in San Diego. I mean, they have made that place so incredibly special. This season in particular, 3.2 million fans, 59 sellouts. It makes it an incredibly fun place to come to work. And it's something I talked about with Jesse on the pregame show yesterday, and he alluded to it, and I totally agreed, where, it really does make a difference, I think, when you're coming to work and you're calling games and you're talking about the games. It makes such a huge difference. And, definitely bittersweet. And obviously, I think we all wished it was a bit of a different season for those fans that pack this place every single night. But bittersweet for sure. I think we could all use a break. But the idea that we won't see that place until next April, is definitely bittersweet.
I'm glad you do appreciate it, because as Padres fans know, it wasn't always like that. I did your job for 4 seasons with Craig Elston from 2000 to 2003, and there were There were 5 or 6 games where they really packed Qualcomm Stadium over those 4 years with fans. Usually a giveaway day or when the Yankees visited, that was big. But for the most part, it was a mausoleum for 4 years. It was quiet. It was kind of sad most nights, with the losing team. And
that Sammy puts asses in the seats.
He does.
And you and Craig did not.
But I want to ask, what would you rather – what kind of season would you rather have? We weren't really that disappointed in any of those teams because we didn't have any expectations. This year has been much, much more disappointing. But ultimately, I'd rather take bitter disappointment than no hopes at all.
Sure.
I really would.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? I mean, I think – there is still something to be said for everything from an emotional standpoint that we felt entering this season and really throughout it. Like, I still think Padres fans, and maybe I'm wrong, and they can tweet at me or DM me if I'm wrong, would still rather enter a season with realistic sky-high expectations than with no expectations at all. And I think from my standpoint, from the fan perspective, from the crowd perspective, and appreciating it, Ben, I'd certainly rather take full crowds and disappointment than disappointment with not many people there. So look, I really wish for the fans it had been a different type of season. They certainly deserved more. And I wish there was more to cheer about on a lot of nights, but I'm with you. I'm truly appreciative of what these fans have brought, and I think and guys, I didn't grow up here. I grew up 3,000 miles away. To be honest with you, growing up a Mets fan and not thinking all that much about the San Diego Padres growing up, and I truly, until I got here, a couple of years ago, and I guess maybe even when I was at AA and they were the minor league affiliate of the team I was with in 2019, and maybe I'll go back to that. I truly had no idea what a special baseball city this is, and it's blown me away, right? I mean, the fan support and how special this is as a true baseball town, and my goodness, the numbers. As far as the fans showing up have backed that up and proved it. So, hopefully we see something like it next year, because at a bare minimum, it makes it just a really fun and I think special place to be. And I'm not just saying that, I'm not just saying it to say it because we're on San Diego radio. Like I really think it makes it feel special and honestly different than probably a lot of other places around America, a lot of other major league ballparks.
I did want to bring up next year, we're talking to Sam Levitt, Padres pre- and post-game show host, and ask you as well, Woods. You've probably seen the fans who say, I'm going to take a much measured approach next season. I'm not going to let myself get quite as excited. I doubt that's true.
I said it too.
I think they'll show up next year and you'll see
ready to jam.
Tatis and Machado and Bogarts and probably Soto in the lineup. And even if the pitching staff's different, you're going to look and go at this team. This team should do really, really well.
Yep.
You're gonna be favored in most of their games. They should beat some brains in. I don't think you're going to be able to measure your expectations next year. They're going to be high again, and you're going to be, risking disappointment again because I think they're going to be high. Wouldn't you say, Woods?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. What I would do, though, and the way we cover the team, too, is I think it's important next year to, ask a little bit, be a little bit tougher as far as probing questions in the offseason, because there were things that we looked at and kind of glossed over, and I think for good reason. You gloss over it by saying, doesn't matter that Nola doesn't hit or got hit in the face with a ball. We're going to be fine. Catcher's position. Doesn't matter that there's really no depth outside of the 5 starters we have. These are all things that I think it's going to make me take a little bit deeper of a dive instead of just going, oh my God, we signed another star. We're going to roll over everybody, and I think I will.
But what does the whole team look like?
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll be more measured in that sense of but wait, I'm still because. I got to tell you, Sammy, the when we did our kind of early season predictions, we all went around the room and said, okay, what is wrong with this team? What are the things that you're worried about? My number one,
right.
I was worried about defense. How'd that work out? Fernando Tatis Jr. probably going to win a Gold Glove. Trent Grisham could win a Gold Glove in center field. He's been phenomenal. Ha-Sung Kim was playing really well until he got hurt defensively. Defensively, the team's been really good. And that turned out not to be an issue at all. But I really want to do a deep dive, not just with the Major League team. Okay, if Musgrove goes down, who's coming up? And why is that guy a good fit? And why is he ready to go? So I think it will make me take a more deep dive next season.
I agree. And look, I was right there with you guys in spring training of, just sort of assuming that this team was going to play a certain way and the results were going to be a certain way. And certainly from a pure talent and I think offensive standpoint, assuming that, they would hit so much and drive in so many runs that that a lot of things wouldn't matter. And I think the lesson we've learned here in 2023 is that it all matters. The entire 26-man roster
and beyond
matters. Situational hitting matters. So I'm with you, Woods and Ben. I will have a much more critical eye.
Cynical and critical.
Spring training. Right.
Yep.
Critical, in evaluating things heading into spring training and as this season begins. Because I'll tell you what, if things don't get off to a good start next season, I highly doubt that any of us are going to be sitting here saying, oh, it's early, right? After what we've seen this season. So, look, there are obviously, and I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know, this is a fascinating offseason on so many different levels. And simply from the roster construction alone, I mean, you look at some of the decisions the Padres have to make on the pitching side of things, what this rotation could look like compared to what it looked like this year, all the different decisions they have to make with Juan Soto going into a walk year, and the list goes on and on. So, look, I think, it's going to be a sort of a different lens heading into next year, and I think maybe we've all sort of learned our lesson that an entire 26-man roster matters. Depth really matters, and nothing is given based on talent, right? There's just nothing given, and there is something to baseball, maybe in particular, that goes beyond just talent, right? When you talk about a team clicking it all together, winning on a daily basis, winning games that they need to win, and really, I guess, combating some of the weird elements that we've seen this season, right?
Well,
with
and
the
Sammy,
one-run games and the extra innings, all of it. Yeah.
And not letting things spiral to the point where there needs to be 50 articles written about, this and that, and he said, and I'm off the record, but this is what's happening. Like, if that doesn't tell you, if this season isn't a perfect example of what not to do, I don't know what is. I mean, I really don't know. Hey guys, remember I'm feeling the vibes a little off. Let's get it together. Let's figure it out.
Sure.
I mean, it has been it's been insane this year with the amount of stuff that's gotten out, the amount of stuff that has been written about. I mean, you got to be embarrassed if you're one of those guys in the clubhouse.
Right. Yeah, and look, I think what's also interesting, I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but I am interested to see what the vibe is and what people say heading into spring training when we get there, is I do feel in the last couple of weeks that they've played a lot better, to their credit, and they went on the win streak, that we're hearing, guys, including the stars on this team, talk about how that can sort of roll into next year.
At least
right?
for the vibes,
Right, and maybe taking some of that momentum into next season. And what it does remind me of a little bit is sort of the attitude that we heard earlier in the season that, it will come around.
Yep.
This means it's going to come around at the end of next season, that we'll be able to – we basically, shook off a lot of the stuff that has plagued this team throughout most of the season. Is that true? I have no idea. Is that something that's realistic to think with an off season in between now and then? I have no idea. If they think that, that's fair, but it is going to be fascinating to see when it gets going, right? Because if we do see any of the similar issues pop up, I mean, I think a lot of alarm bells are going to go off, right? In our heads and a lot of fans' heads. So it is what lies ahead right now for this team, guys, I think in so many different aspects is very, very fascinating. And my goodness, will it be a fascinating start to next season, right? Based on what happens here and how they finish the year and playing better and much of the core back. There's a lot that's going to be very, very interesting in many months to come. There's no doubt about it.
Well, Sammy, enjoy your rare day off, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right,
Wrap
guys,
up the
so
season. Sam Levitt on our Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad fan hotline. Save money the right way with Premier Chevrolet of Carlsbad. Visit them today in the Carlsbad Auto Mall. Chevrolet, find new roads. Coach and Braden, Sammy's fill-in coming up next. For Paul Reindl, our executive producer, and Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Monday from all of us here at 97.3 The Fan.